Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Thursday afternoon. We're Sports Time, and we're with you for the next 3 hours. A lot to get into. Definitely got to talk a lot of college football, a lot of NFL, but also Major League Baseball, even some basketball talk a little bit later with Keith Smith. But a lot to get to. We've got one wild card game tonight. Only one series made it to 3 games. Mets Brewers. They'll play the deciding game later tonight in Milwaukee. We've got Thursday night football tonight as well between the Buccaneers and the Falcons. We've got 2 college football games tonight to kind of get us ready for what Saturday can bring. So a lot to get into today. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing well. We got Tiger basketball talk today,
right.
too.
Yes, that's right. Pro Day today.
So
that was fun seeing everybody out there.
It was fun today, and they stretched out the legitimate ruler today on heights and weights. So this year, there's no need to call. Dane's just 7-footer.
That's right. Yeah.
Came in at 6'9". That's close enough.
That's close enough. I'll take it. As somebody that is probably closer to 6 foot than he is 6'1", I will. If you want to call yourself 7 feet and you're 6'9", I'll give it to you.
5'8's a lonely existence.
Well,
Brian.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tyrese Hunter, 5'11 3/4.
How about that?
I think we can go with 6 foot.
I think so.
But I don't think anybody needs to go, from wherever, 6'2". He's not 6'2".
That's right. Yes. He might tell people he's 6'2".
Yeah.
But he's not 6'2".
Noah Stansberry.
How about that?
Wow. Has he heard?
I actually didn't see that. That's actually maybe the biggest surprise I've heard today. Maybe the biggest surprise of the month. I don't know.
Noah Stansberry.
Wow,
6 foot, wingspan, 5'10 and a half.
Good for him. Shout out Noah.
Body weight, 159.
Man. Doubt we see much of Noah this year.
Has he heard?
Maybe a little delayed response from him. I don't know.
Good luck, Noah.
Maybe that was printed earlier. I don't know. Good Lord. That's crazy.
No, it's from today. Got the NBA logo on it.
Oh, man.
From Jason Munn's Twitter site, the great Jason Munn.
I don't know. I have to question that when I see Noah Stansberry on there. Oh, yeah. Lord. That's wild.
It is.
But, hey, there you go, I guess.
Pro Day.
Yeah, Pro Day. I mean,
I don't really know what to follow up with that. It's rare I'm speechless, Brian, but
sure.
I'm hung up at 3:02. I'm sorry.
Well, there's nothing to take away from a Pro Day, but I will say that it is. I would be lying if I say I didn't get a little excited just watching the clips that everybody was posting, with the season right around the corner. So, that is, I think, the fun part of it is, seeing these guys out there running a little bit, doing different drills and things like that, because it's hard to believe. I mean, today's October 3rd. Here in a couple of weeks, they'll be playing North Carolina in an exhibition game. And then right after that, it'll be Bama, and then it'll be the start of the regular season. So, it's going to come fast.
I mean, I'm using bad grammar here to be demonstrative. This ain't athletes in action.
No.
I mean, this isn't Victoria All-Stars. This is for exhibition game keeps.
That's right.
As much as you're going to keep that.
Exactly. So, no, it's exciting.
It will be. It will be worth something to see them against that quality competition.
Absolutely.
And if you win, you have to think, okay, if we can beat these two,
certainly
playing a pickup game, calling your own fouls, we're in pretty good shape, or stay close to them. I don't know in defeat. I wouldn't take as much in defeat to either of those than I did to that fatal loss to CBU.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think anything that happens against these two, you feel better than you did in that loss against CBU in an exhibition. But, no, it's great. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but to be able to get exhibition games against, two programs like that, obviously you've had that relationship with Alabama. You've seen them a lot in regular season games. And, so to be able to, maybe you couldn't get it on for regular season, but to be able to get it there for exhibition. And then for North Carolina, just to get such a big name, to do it for a great cause in St. Jude, it's really, really cool to see. And I'm, excited to see what this team looks like all put together. I mean, it's the every year process with how Penny Hardaway has done his teams.
Jigsaw puzzle.
It's exactly right.
Throw the pieces out. Good luck putting them together. That's a lot of places. That's
right.
Most places.
Exactly. And so, we can talk about them individually. It feels like every offseason we're talking about these guys individually. This is what they did at their last school. This is what they did at their last school. And, then we'll see it come together and what it looks like, early in the season and as the season goes on. So definitely some good stuff for Tiger basketball today.
Have you ever so slightly, maybe not with lightly shaded pencil, just started doing the 13-9 and the 18 con?
Not at all. I haven't even looked at it.
I have.
Okay, all right.
And it's all over the place.
Well, with the way the non-conference schedule is laid out, that doesn't surprise me. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, it could go
if
any
you
way.
were in charge, Brian Dacus, I'm going to put you right now as the fiat, as the emperor of college basketball.
Okay.
And you could raise the schedule. Right now we're at 31 with multi-team events. Most everybody participates in one to get to 31.
Sure.
We're going to raise it one game, and we're going to start it 6 days earlier. You can start 27th, 28th, 29th of October.
Uh-huh. But
that's it. And that's it for a long time. We're not, I mean, because we've moved further. This will finally be moving into October, a sport that often would start Thanksgiving weekend or the first weekend of December a million years ago. That's changed. If you could do that, would you do it?
Yes.
I would too.
Absolutely. 100%.
But with the, and I hate this word, but with the mandate, the emphasis on this isn't for scheduling Chadron State.
Sure. Yeah.
This is for like the St. Jude game.
Sure.
Or St. Jude trying. I want St. Jude to put that tournament together. I want Memphis either the week before or Thanksgiving week to be hosting something similar to Maui.
That'd be great. And it sounds like that's what St. Jude wants to put together and have that here. And it sounds like everything you hear that it's kind of off to a good start and kind of that idea of getting that. So, yeah, I would love that, and I'd certainly love, add an extra game, start a little bit earlier. I love college basketball, so I'll never be against it.
With the SEC Big Ten, very high possibility of a scheduling deal in college football, that's where they should start.
Sure. That'd be fun.
That opener, you pick out the games. Have it be a challenge over a couple of nights, couple weekends. I would suggest to a lot of people, try as best you can. Not everybody can be at home, and not everybody plays FBS football. But in the Memphis Tigers world, try to do that on a Friday night before a big Saturday college football game.
Yeah.
In the SEC Big Ten world, other leagues world, try to do that. But I don't want it to be for everybody to go out and load up on New Jersey Tech.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you, and I think you're right. I mean, we talk about Gonzaga and Baylor announcing, last week, the week before, whenever it was very recent, that they were going to play on opening night, and how much buzz that got of, oh man, we're getting two powerhouse programs.
They threw it together in 2 days.
They absolutely, it was incredible how late we got that
COVID
news.
scheduling.
For sure. And so, how much buzz that got of those two programs facing off against each other on opening night. I definitely think if you had one of these, one of these challenge events between conferences, if that's how you started college basketball off, the opening night of games like that, I think that would get a ton of eyeballs on your conference, a ton of eyeballs on your teams, because people want to see those type of matchups.
In fact, Brian, since I've already used the word I don't like mandate, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to mandate it this year that it would be November 1st, so it wouldn't be into October. We unfortunately don't have a uniform opening night for college basketball. We don't even have the ESPN 24 hours of college basketball anymore. I'm going to go with that. This year it would be Friday night, November 1st.
Okay.
That's your everybody plays. Find you somebody to play that night or Sunday.
I like that.
Of that weekend.
Sure. I like that. It's not a bad idea. Let's put it together, Brett. I don't know who I don't know who we need to pitch it to, but let's pitch it to somebody. I'm all in favor for more basketball.
So, who runs college basketball? We know who runs college football. The SEC and the Big Ten.
Sure.
Who runs college basketball? I don't say the selection committee. They run.
Sure.
So, putting up the bracket for the tournament.
Right. I don't know. That's a good question.
What conference runs college basketball?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I think it's too open to have one conference that you say kind of.
And it looks it.
Sure.
Somebody needs to fill the vacuum.
Sure. Yeah. Because you don't have that one conference.
I saw at D1 Docket's Twitter site a great idea.
Okay.
He suggested that for football and basketball, if the AAC simply started branding and changed its name to the Metro Conference, it would be perceived better.
I believe that.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the exact same thing that's happening right now with the Pac-12. I mean, you talk about the teams that they're getting, the teams they're trying to get, and the idea of the Pac-12 is as a brand is big. I mean, if it was the just made up name conference, I don't know if they would have been able to go out and
football conference.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have been able to go out and get those schools from the Mountain West and kind of build what they've built. They certainly wouldn't have been able to get the Gonzaga. Yeah, they are still that brand in that Pac-12 logo. So I think you're right. If you rebranded as the Metro, that would definitely, people would think highly of it, more certainly higher than they do of the American.
How nervous are you if you're a Brewer fan tonight?
I think you're a little nervous. I think certainly anybody's nervous in a Game 3. But
home field hadn't mattered much.
No, not really. They certainly looked good late, and I think that was huge. I mean, that could have been that spark they needed. This has been a team that's been really good offensively all year, and really as of late, and certainly in that first game, offense wasn't clicking. And so maybe that spark you got last night in the 8th inning, where you had Jackson Churio hit a home run, you had Garrett Mitchell hit a home run. Maybe that's the spark you needed, and maybe that can go into today's game. But, yeah, I think there's certainly Game 3, there's definitely nerves. And I think even when you're at home, it's, we don't want to get beat at home in the wild card. So I think there's definitely nerves.
I know some aren't, but I think both of us, I think I can speak for both of us. Please speak up if I'm speaking for you and it's improper. I think we're both fans of Mad Dog, Christopher Russo.
Sure,
Chris Russo.
Absolutely.
And I have been from way back, a long time ago, and not just Mike and the Mad Dog, but I love his baseball knowledge. And today on Intentional Talk, and he didn't go. It wasn't one of his crazy ones, kind of for with Stephen A. and kind of a skit.
Sure.
And I don't mind it when he does that. Look, I'm sure the deposit slips are very good from
That's
it.
Right.
So I don't mind that. But he went on a pretty modest but forceful Yankees and Dodgers. This is your time. Your season, when all year you've planned on season starting October 3rd or 4th or 5th or whatever, it's time for you to do something.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with him on that. I mean, you look
I am
especially
too.
all of the the underdogs we had win in the wild card. We had 2 of them yesterday, and now we could have a third today with the Mets. It's if you've wanted to be told you're the best team in baseball, and that's what everyone's been telling the Dodgers and the Yankees all season long. Y'all are the best teams in baseball. This is where you go out and you prove it. You don't mess around. You don't have these games and where it's really tight, and you go out and dominate. If you want to be the best team in baseball, you go out and dominate, and we'll see if they can do that.
And he said, I don't need to hear about Shohei being the Bambino. I got to see it.
Yeah, that's right. And this is certainly going to be massive. I mean, it's a huge stage. We know the history of Shohei with the Angels and the lack of postseasons. And so now we'll see Shohei
be his first October at bat.
It's crazy. And so we'll see, what does he look like in the postseason? Because it's crazy. He's just,
And where do they bat him? Does he lead off?
That's a good question.
He could bat in any place in
Yeah,
order.
put him anywhere you want to put him.
And you're looking that manager, and that pitching coach, that bench coach, wherever he is, they know when he's coming up.
That's right. Oh, they have him circled, and when he's in the hole on deck, when he's up to bat, you've been ready.
For 2 runners here. He
Yep. Oh man, first and second, he's stepping up. I mean, they have all of that planned out. But it's going to be fun. We talked a lot yesterday about Detroit winning and advancing. The Royals ended up getting the win and advancing. And, now, obviously late last night, San Diego, I think we all thought yesterday San Diego would get it done, and they sure did. But, I think tonight, big night for both the Mets and the Brewers. I'm
stealing this great line from Brian Kenny on MLB Network, who I just loved in his days at ESPN. He's baseball through and through, and I love that. He said the American League playoffs are now the American League Central Invitational.
That's right. Yes. I saw somebody tweet earlier today. Maybe the White Sox weren't that bad. They were just playing in the toughest division ever.
You go ahead and tell yourself that.
That's right. Yeah. No.
Long off season for Southsiders. Go ahead and believe
very long off season. Even though Connor came to me yesterday and said, yeah, I'm thinking about this White Sox hoodie. I said, now's the time you want to buy a new White Sox hoodie? And he goes, yeah, no, this is a really cool hoodie. I think I'm going to buy it. I was like, all right, man, whatever.
Wear that to a Tiger basketball game, Connor.
That's right,
Go right ahead.
Go for it. But
we're fandom.
That's right. He loves his White Sox. That's one thing.
He'll throw the judgment off every now and then.
That's right. Yeah. I was like, okay, man, do your thing. I don't know if this is the time to do that, but no, we've got a great show lined up, great guests as always. So let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News will join us to talk some college football. We'll have to talk about that Alabama-Georgia game from last week and some of the other games that happened last week. We'll also get his thoughts on some of this weekend's action. 3:45, we'll talk Thursday night football tonight. I think a really, really good Thursday night football game tonight between the Buccaneers and the Falcons.
Those two teams don't like each other.
No, they do not. So we'll talk.
Split last year. Both roadies won.
Wow, did they? I don't remember that. So wow. So I think it's gonna be a really fun game tonight on Thursday Night Football. We'll talk a little bit about that matchup, and then we'll talk more about what the slate looks like in the NFL this weekend. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA. A ton to get into with Keith Smith. We have preseason games starting tomorrow. We had the big trade over the weekend between the Knicks and the Timberwolves. We got to get his thoughts on Dikembe Mutombo passing away earlier this week. So a ton to get to with Keith at 4 o'clock. 4:30, Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com in Las Vegas will join us. We'll talk some picks with him. We'll get a Thursday night football play from him, I'm sure, and also some of the big games over the weekend. 4:45, we get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk the Tigers. We'll talk Tiger football. We'll also have to talk Tiger basketball. He was at Pro Day earlier today. I saw that on his Twitter, so we'll get his thoughts on what he saw earlier today. Did they stretch
the tape on Greg? Do we get an actual
Oh, that's great.
Measure?
Great question.
We'll ask.
We will ask. So 5 o'clock we'll
weighing
talk
in.
to Greg. Well,
I'm going to say for Greg 5'9",
okay.
190.
Maybe. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. We'll ask him.
Hope I'm not weighing.
Well, I don't know. I'm not good with height and weight.
No, Brett, I'm 167. How dare you?
No, yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll get all of his thoughts at 5 o'clock. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the world's biggest spa sale going on right now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spas starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. Special financing, it's available. And don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools, too, and all patio furniture. It's priced to move. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Hey, we are always in our Family Leisure studio, just like you said, and what a great sale they have going on right now. And they always remind us this is the best time of year to put the pool in because the prices are down. This is the buyer's market at Family Leisure. He's Brian, I'm Brett. We're Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a big part of our show at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on that same number, 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. This hour every day brought to you by the one and only Lexus dealership in town. That's Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all remaining 24s as the 25 starting to take over. Special leasing options always. Call them at 901-334-9673. But they want you to stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 or 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day has got to be Game 3 between the Mets and the Brewers tonight. It all comes down to this one, and I'm excited to see what happens. I'm rooting for the Brewers in this spot. I hope they're able to win. I enjoy watching this Brewers team play, but they definitely have some issues on their team, and I think those issues are coming to light. When you look at the middle of that lineup, they just have not been producing how you want them to produce. Last night, it just didn't get much from them. They'd get some guys on and strand them and just really couldn't get much going at the plate. And it was actually really interesting to see, obviously, Jackson Churio, the young rookie for them, who I've been really high on, looked great. 2 hits, both of them home runs. The first one early in the game to get the scoring started for Milwaukee. The other one tied the game in the bottom of the 8th inning. And then Garrett Mitchell steps up, another young guy for the Brewers, I think 25, 26 years old. He steps up after pinch running for Gary Sanchez earlier in the game. He steps up in his only at-bat of the day. He hits the game-winning home run, a 2-run shot to give Milwaukee a 2-run lead. But you look at some of these guys. Willy Adames has kind of struggled at the plate recently. He was 1 for 4 last night. Gary Sanchez 1 for 3 before he was pulled and kind of got lucky on the 1 hit he did have. And then Rhys Hoskins, a guy that they were really hoping could give them something, 0 for 4 last night.
October experience too.
Yeah, that's right, and just has not been able to come up for them. And so they definitely have issues there, but able to get the win over the Mets, and now sets up a massive Game 3. We've talked a lot about this Mets team and what they can do when they're at the plate. I mean, it feels like in every game they played, obviously not last night, but the 2 or 3 games before that, they would be games where you'd be watching it, they'd be down, they'd be trailing, and then 1 inning, just like that, they score 4, 5, 6 runs and take an overwhelming lead. We'll see if they can do that tonight. I think a interesting pitching matchup tonight between the two sides. Tobias going for the Brewers, Tobias Myers going for the Brewers, and then Jose Quintana going for the Mets. So very interesting pitching matchup. We'll see how those two guys look, but I'm really excited for Game 3 tonight.
Who are we for?
I'm for the Brewers.
I am too, with my they've never won it. But
Sure.
I'd be okay if the Mets won.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad over it.
That's right.
A lot of Met fans that are friends, and it's been a long time since they've won it. Been in the World Series, but a long time since they won it. My top story, weekend is approaching. It's get well or get left behind for a lot of teams in college football. Ole Miss may be at the front of that. Must win at South Carolina, or the season is drastically changed, possibly over. Texas A&M can't take a second loss at Kyle Field. Must beat Mizzou. Clemson, they can't slip up after the opening game loss to Georgia. They've got it rolling now. To keep it rolling, they got to take care of business against beleaguered FSU. Michigan at Washington. A second loss sends you to the back of the line. Michigan knows that. They can't take another one. Nobody, I don't think anybody will make the playoffs with 2 losses this year. And to hear some of my SEC brethren talking about a 3-loss team in the playoffs from the SEC, no way.
Yeah, seems a little far-fetched, but I understand the hope and want for it.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day has got to be Thursday night football tonight. The Buccaneers and the Falcons. I'm really excited about this Thursday night football matchup because I think both teams have had good starts to the season. The Buccaneers 3-1 have looked really good. The only issue they've had was their game against the Denver, and I think a lot of people going into that game thought that they would win that game pretty easily based on how they had played the first 2 games. They go out there, they really don't show up, and they lose. But you look at every other game outside of Denver, they've really put up the points. The first game against the Commanders, 37 points. Second game against the Lions, 20 points. Last week against the Eagles, 33 points. Offensively, they've looked really, really good. Baker Mayfield has really found a home in Tampa Bay and has really taken advantage of the opportunity he got there. And then on the other side, Atlanta, I think, has played better than they did last year. Obviously, a new coach, a lot of new quarterback, Kirk Cousins coming in. I think they look better already this season than they did last year. But 2-2, it's been a tough start to the season. Steelers on the road against the Eagles, and then Chiefs Saints is not an easy way to start. The schedule gets a little easier a little bit later, but tonight will be a tough test for them. But they're at home against the Buccaneers right now. At least last I checked, it certainly could have changed. Right now, Atlanta a 2.5-point favorite. Earlier it was 2, so it's moving in Atlanta's favor. We'll see if the Falcons can win at home or if the Buccaneers get another big win to start their season.
The short week, and will it kind of be another ugly Thursday night game? We get a lot of those. My not top story, 3 wild card series were 2-0 sweeps with Mets at Brewers playing tonight to see who advances to play Philadelphia in the LDS. Payroll. Here's the payrolls for teams still alive according to Spot Track. Number 1, the Mets. Number 2, the Yankees. 4, the Phillies. 5, the Dodgers. 15, San Diego. 20, Kansas City. 21, Milwaukee. 23, Cleveland. 26, Detroit. Cubs at 7th didn't even make the playoffs. Wow. 28th, Tampa Bay, 80 and 82, around 500. Right. Pittsburgh 29th and Oakland 30th. Pittsburgh and Oakland got what they paid for. Cubs didn't. Detroit, they won the Powerball.
That's right. They sure did. They win in terms of the money. They definitely got the big win on the season. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking college football with Bill Bender.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. In Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar in Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa set might go on forever. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
It didn't take them long. Genesis Diamonds is now the undisputed value leader here in Memphis. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and people who have gone into Genesis Diamonds with a budget have often left spending less than they thought they would, and they end up with a better diamond, a bigger diamond, and a nicer ring. I'm telling you, Genesis has disrupted the old-school jewelry store scene right here in Memphis. It starts with value. Genesis is a direct diamond importer where they get their diamonds from the world's best diamond cutters with no middleman. I call it extreme value. Genesis is also the authorized retailer for all the top bridal designers, so they have the rings on every woman's wish list. They back up every purchase with a 100% free lifetime warranty. That means no charge ever for things like sizing or cleaning. All this in a fun, relaxed environment with no commission salespeople, no pressure of any kind, and no retail pricing games. We've needed a place like this for years here in Memphis, and now Genesis is here. It's quite a change from other jewelry stores with traditional prices, limited selection, and insane markups. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended in Poplar Commons.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. An NFC South matchup coming up to start Week 5 with the 3-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Atlanta to face the 2-2 Falcons. Can Baker Mayfield and receiver Mike Evans repeat last week's impressive Buc showing? Or will Kirk Cousins get the Falcons offense to take flight? Find out on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing gift, because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 30 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield guards, real fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $400,000 void in Mississippi.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh cracked American cheese, bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese, bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A couple of minor accidents out here. They were dodging some debris a few minutes ago on 40 westbound around Sycamore View Road. TDOT, one of the help trucks, was out there trying to get that debris out of the road. Traffic still looks pretty good over here on I-40 eastbound. We've checked it from Warford, Hollywood, all the way over to White Station. There's been some radar out in Arkansas this afternoon. Be careful down I-40 headed out towards Forest City. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is, make sure you check with them first. Why? Because you'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sportstime is Bill Bender, National College Football writer for the Sporting News, and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joins us now from the Sporting News to talk some college football, and we've got to start with the massive Georgia-Alabama game from last weekend. Bill, take me through your experience watching that game. Alabama goes up 28-0 in the second quarter. Then here comes Georgia. They make it a game late in the fourth quarter. They end up going down, scoring, taking the lead. Alabama drives right back down, scores, retakes the lead, and then gets an interception to wrap the game up. What was that game like for you?
Oh, I mean, as I wrote, it was like watching a September Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Great matchup, great heavyweight matchup, great momentum swings, and for all the hand-wringing about making college football more like the NFL, that felt like a really good NFL game with good, the back-to-back touchdown passes was amazing. I think Ryan Williams, it became a household name, and we'll never forget that spin move, but there's also a realization that, hey, they might do it again. They might do it 2 more times. Who knows? And that's the difference in this new world we live in.
Ollie Frazier did it 3 times. Will Bama, Georgia, they meet at least one more, don't they?
I think so. I think whether it's I would say more likely playoff than SEC championship. Honestly, okay. I think Alabama's probably got a road. I can see Georgia losing one more game with their schedule if they don't figure out their running game. They're not able to lean on that as much. Carson Beck struggled in the first half, had a great second half, but Texas is pretty good. And, there's some other, Tennessee's really good. So, in a couple weeks, I've been saying this for a couple days now, if the chalk holds here for the next week or so, on October 19th, you may have 2 top 5 showdowns from the same conference. Texas and Georgia, Alabama and Tennessee. I mean, you don't even have to promo this game. You just say, watch these 2 games.
Mm-hmm. All right, you be the programmer for college football game day. Are you at Third Saturday in October, or are you in Austin for Georgia and Texas?
Whew. I think they could, well, I shouldn't be feeding ESPN ideas. I would do a split show if I could.
I would too.
Oh, man.
It's a great idea, Bill.
was doing that Vince McMahon documentary the other night on Netflix, and I'm not a big wrestling guy. I'll be the first to admit it. It's fascinating, but I didn't realize one year he split WrestleMania between Los Angeles and Chicago. That's what I would do.
Oh, wow.
He did. That really is. That's smart. I would too, Bill. And you could put, well, you'd probably have Chris Fowler. Well, where do you put the A team? Do you have them doing, what game do you have Fowler or Herbstreit doing? You'd naturally want Herbstreit, you'd keep him wherever they originate game day from, and ask Chris Fowler, hey, could you be the on-site host at the other place?
Yeah, if they do this, we should get some royalties.
We really should.
I think it was I would split it up. Put Saban one place. You have to put Saban in. You have to have him there, and it would be very interesting to see. So, looking forward to it, and should be a momentous Saturday in college football. But we got to get through the 5th,
we do,
and we got to get through next week first.
We sure do. Your colleague, and I think your boss at Sporting News, and I texted you yesterday, Bill Trokey, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I sure want to. He had a very interesting column that I referenced yesterday during our show, and mostly referenced earlier today with my top story of the day about this week is Prove It week for a lot of teams. At the top of that is Ole Miss, isn't it?
Yeah, he did a good job with that. Bill sneaks in a piece each week, and it's Troche. So I'm the one that can't do the pronunciation guide right. So
I'm sorry. Thank you. I probably blew it. Troche. Okay.
That's my fault. But no, he gets that all the time. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Norrisworthy, I do too. Trust me, Bill.
Yeah. So he did a nice job on that. And there are some teams over the next couple of weeks where we're going to figure it out, because we do have an assortment behind that kind of first tier, where there's a lot of teams that have a loss, but how you judge Kansas State blown out at BYU versus LSU week 1 loss versus Michigan lost to the number 2 team in the country. And Ole Miss this week and next week's a big 2-week stretch for them, because they're going to a tough opponent with South Carolina and trying to set up that matchup with LSU, but they can't look past South Carolina. The Gamecocks are a lot better.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Another team that was mentioned in that story, Bill, was Miami, and taking it all the way back to Friday, where they almost lost to Virginia Tech. They trailed most of the game, and then at the very end, we got the kind of last chance desperation throw to the back of the end zone. They initially say it's a touchdown, and then they go back, they review it, and obviously ball came out. It was kind of weird. It was hard to see. I think even the guys calling the game said, I don't think there's enough evidence watching this replay to call it an incomplete pass. Ultimately, they did rule it incomplete, and so Miami's perfect season and hopes remain alive. What did you make of how that game ended Friday night?
Yeah, every time I watch it, I think something different.
Yeah.
But to your point, I don't know if the burden is not enough to be reversed. That's kind of how I felt. Miami showed a few things: turnovers, missed tackles. Cam Ward made some amazing plays, though. How far can he take this team? He's obviously one of the 4 Heisman frontrunners. Their run defense was a little shaky. They're going to have a couple adventures in ACC play. You can't quite pencil them in, not with Clemson playing the way they're playing, not with Pitt being undefeated, not with Louisville, who I would say made one too many miscues at Notre Dame to try to pull that upset off last week. The ACC is going to be an intriguing race as we get into October and November.
And we have an ACC game late Saturday night. Game day will originate there, but kickoff not until 9:30 Central Time, 10:30 for you in Ohio, Bill. Miami at Cal. I love Justin Wilcox. It feels like with the travel and everything that Cal team, this is right for a Cal upset, but they're a 10-point underdog.
Yeah, I like Miami in that one. I think they use that kind of near-death experience, so to speak. That's probably a bit far, but get what I mean. Near-loss experience.
Sure, we know.
Virginia Tech and get going this week against the Bears. I mean, interesting spot for Cal. I'm glad they have game day there. Sounds like Marshawn Lynch. Justin Wilcox does have them playing better defense, and they can grind it out. They beat Auburn, so it's not like they can be taken lightly. But I think Miami has a lot of playmakers on the outside. It is an interesting test of cross-country travel. And another game that's like, oh, that's a conference game now.
That's
SMU Louisville could be very interesting at Louisville because SMU, since they went to Jennings at quarterback, they're playing a lot better.
Bryant loves that game. He thinks it's one of the more intriguing games of the weekend. That's bright and early Saturday morning. That's right in our lap right after game day.
Yeah, so I think you got to enjoy that one as well. But there's plenty of pieces. This is that weekend that is definitely a light appetizer for the next two, but that's when you throw caution to that. I mean, we do have two top 10 teams, Missouri and Michigan, that are underdogs on the road, which, anytime I look at that, it's like, all right, go out and prove you're a top 10 team. Top 10 team goes out and wins that game regardless of what the spread is. And I actually think Missouri and Michigan are both going to do just that.
Yeah. When you look at this Clemson team, Bill, I'm sure we've brought them up to you in recent weeks, but ever since that Georgia loss, they've played a lot better. Now 3-1 on the season. They travel down to Florida State, Tallahassee to play the Seminoles this weekend. What have you seen from this Clemson team, and do you think more people should be talking about this group this year?
Yeah, I mean, they've bounced back from a week 1 loss. Cade Klubnik, 12 touchdown passes since. Playing really well. They have help at receiver. Their running game's dominant. And they have guys on defense. It's not like Dabo Swinney has recruited 4 straight bad recruiting classes.
Right.
They're pretty good. Just because he doesn't use the portal. I do think they could compete and win the ACC. And they play Florida State this week. It's amazing. I saw that note from Matt Fortuna. Florida State was a 4.5-point favorite in the summer. That line's moved almost 20 points. I don't think there's any more dramatic shift in college football than that. So I don't think it'll be as bad as a couple years ago, that game when the guy had his shirt off and he was reading a book. But I do think Florida State's in trouble.
That was some good imagery. Bill, yesterday, Bryant and I we were in a meeting. Of course, he was taking his notes on his phone with the Notes app.
Right.
And I had ink pen and my University of Iowa that they send to everybody. It's in Football Writers. I know you get them with the old reporter's notebook. And Bryant said, of course, Iowa is still having.
Screams Iowa football. And I love it.
Pen and piece of paper. Any chance for Iowa to just make it really ugly, keep it low scoring, and steal it 17-15 at Columbus?
They need some turnovers, and they need they'll know early. This game reminds me of Wisconsin, Ohio State a couple years ago when we know the recipe, and I think we all do. But I watched the first 2 series, and it was like stuffed run, incomplete. I texted my Bill that this one's probably going to be a blowout. So. Caleb Johnson, you do have a game where 3 running backs in this game average 8 yards per carry. So it could be an old school Big Ten kind of game there. The weather here is beautiful this weekend, which is nice. And I will be there for that game. I do think Ohio State just kind of stresses them out as the game goes on and ends up winning somewhere in that 35-10 if they don't turn the ball over. And so, the recipe, we know it. It's just a lot to ask on the road at Ohio State.
Bill, I don't want to get you in trouble with anyone, but do you have a favorite press box? Both the view, the support staff, how you're treated on game day. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, I mean, I'm probably at Ohio State the most. I can say that they always take real. I mean, it's 15 minutes away, so and they always take really good care of me, and I enjoy that. But same at Michigan, same at Penn State. And, I think I always enjoy going to games at Tennessee, though, and seeing that field. I still remember the first time I went to a game there, I thought, I'm a guy that likes kind of the old school. I don't need 17 jumbotrons near me. I just like the old school feel of the stadium, and they do it right there. And for somebody that didn't grow up in SEC country, when you get to go to a couple of those, it's always fun.
It sure is. And Bill, one year we were doing pregame there, and we got through, and one of the guys on our pregame show, as soon as we got through, said, "I'm going to eat. Come on." I went, "No way, man. I don't get here often enough. I'm watching that tee for him."
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like around the campus, you check out all the traditions. It's cool. But yeah, I mean, going to Columbus is easy for me, and it's just fun. The press box is huge. Their media staff does a fantastic job. Ryan Day, for all the criticism he faces, he is probably one of the more open book college football coaches in the country. They do a great job of they make everybody available. They do a really nice job with that.
And Bill, we need more, and they need it. They need it for them. When it's going well for anybody, you're going to have everybody kind of in full support, supplication mode. Those coaches, they need it. They need some friends when it goes a little bit against them, and when it's going for them, they don't think they're ever going to need anybody. You're pulling for Cleveland in baseball. We'll let you go.
No, I'm a Padres fan, so I'm happy. I grew up a big Tony Gwynn guy, and my wife's a Cleveland fan, and we'll see how those teams do. But this might be sacrilege in the house I'm in, but pretty cool to see what the Tigers have been able to do. That's what October baseball is all about. It's going to be a fun season.
Good deal.
It absolutely will be. Bill, thanks as always for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, no problem, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill Bender joining us from the Sporting News to talk some college football, and he's right. I mean, we're really getting to the bigger parts of the regular season. Gonna have some
October.
Really big time matchups. It's really, really exciting.
You know, we've already done grades. You know,
Right.
we're getting close to, Bryant, and you know I'm going to say it in a few weeks.
Okay, what's that?
This is who you are.
That's right. Yes, you are who you are, Brett. That's where we're at. Yeah, we're too far into the season now, so I am really excited for this slate of games on Saturday. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, we'll talk more about Thursday night football and what this weekend looks like in the NFL. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time, free gun rentals with purchase of ammo, and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Witten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with your best. Top Gun Memphis.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah.
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at the Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years. of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Red Star Sports Movie and Brian Gates.
Well, we mentioned it earlier. Thursday night football tonight. Buccaneers at Falcons, 7 o'clock. Kickoff about 7:15 or so. We'll have coverage starting at 7 p.m. right here on Sports 56. If you can't catch the game, not home, you can listen to it right here on Sports 56. And just a reminder, the rest of the weekend, we'll remind you again tomorrow, but Saturday we'll have complete coverage of Ole Miss at South Carolina. Pregame starting at 12:30 for that 2:30 kick. We'll have pregame and postgame for that. And then Sunday, we'll have a triple header for the NFL. Dolphins at Patriots at noon. Cardinals at 49ers at 3. And then the Sunday night football game between the Cowboys and the Steelers. But tonight, with this Thursday night football game, Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Brett, what do you expect to see tonight?
I think it will be low scoring. I think it will be a lot of Bijan Robinson, and it should be, and try to keep it really cozy for Kirk Cousins. And they're at home, but get out with a win against two teams that really don't like each other.
Sure.
Baker Mayfield, if they don't have the slip up against Denver, I don't know, it would be a lot, but it would be some. There's none. It would now, but it would be some MVP talk.
I think you're right. I think you're definitely right. If this team is undefeated and because, I mean, right now, it
might be better for him. It's not.
You're probably right. But right now, that Denver loss is the glaring loss. I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And so that's certainly not helping. But, yeah, if they were undefeated going into this game, if they could beat the Falcons and are sitting here 5-0 through 5 games, yeah, Baker Mayfield would be getting a lot of talk.
And he's had a good, steady year. He's got to keep it going. Do we ever feel comfortable going safe outside with him?
Not super safe.
No.
You're always a little worried, but hey, I think a really good quarterback, and I think has found a great spot for himself here in Tampa Bay.
Who do you trust more right now, Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins?
Oh, geez.
That's a toughie.
That's a really tough one. I'll go Kirk just because of that experience. I'll go Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but that experience has really never cashed in too much.
That's true. But I'll still go with Kirk.
Yeah, to win a playoff game,
yeah.
I think I'd have to take Baker Magic. Just him do, maybe one carom off somebody's helmet.
Sure.
And he catches it himself
Yeah.
and runs it in. I think I'd go with him, but I wouldn't trust either right now in a conference championship game.
No. I mean, it's certainly, I think, a toss-up. And, I think both quarterbacks give you a lot, but I think both quarterbacks also worry you a lot. And so,
Summertime, who did we have over each other in quarterback rankings in that division?
I have mine somewhere, but I do not remember.
I don't have mine at the ready.
I probably don't have mine either because I just have.
That was a hard one to do. That was a hard one to do for coaching too. Ranking the coaches.
It absolutely was.
Is now.
It sure is. And but I am now really curious. Okay, I found
Good.
mine. How about that? We did it on July 16th, and I had Kirk Cousins and then Baker Mayfield. 1-2.
That was at SEC Media Days.
That's right. I had them 1-2 for coaches. I don't know if my coaches might not be here. Let's see. See if I can find it.
Only one playoff team out of that division, though.
Yes, I think so. I definitely think so. I had
You have
Ricky
your
Moore.
coaches?
I had Todd Bowles 1. I had Dennis Allen 2, and I had Raheem Morris 3. So
I think I had Todd Bowles 1.
I have him 1. I want to say you did too, but I don't
tell you
know.
what I did with my baseball list last night preseason.
You rip it up and throw it away?
I sure did.
I don't blame you.
Disaster.
Well, it happens, Brett. Sometimes that just happens.
So tonight in baseball, if Milwaukee wins, that means me, you, and Connor will all go 2-2.
How about that?
Darian has the Mets.
How about that?
If we're right and we go 2-2, he will go 2-2 as well.
Wow. That's insane.
We all got there.
Wow, that's incredible.
And it was there. You had
Certainly
Detroit
different.
bowl pick.
I did. I also had Atlanta though, so that didn't work out.
You did group lock with Baltimore. Got us all.
Yep, sure did. That's okay.
3 out of 4 of us San Diego.
Yep.
3 out of 4 of us Milwaukee. 3 out of 4 Houston.
How about that? Wow. So we all got there differently, but
Fallout 2-2.
I guess so. Wow, that's just how the wild card plays out this year.
I'm not taking a shot at it. Well, I guess I kind of am.
Okay.
Baseball off tomorrow. Don't we really need to move it along, baseball, and have at least a game or two tomorrow? Because now on Saturday, you're going up against the teeth of college football.
Yeah.
And even with Yankees and Dodgers playing, we'll get mauled in the ratings.
Sure. No, you're right. And, I think I would certainly love some, Friday baseball. That would not make
Friday
me mad.
afternoon, Fox, Friday night, FS1.
Yeah.
Fox football Friday night. Fox college football on Friday night.
Exactly. You're still fighting college football on a Friday night with those.
With Big Ten.
Yeah, and so I think Major League Baseball is just in a spot where no matter if they start tomorrow or whether they start Saturday, eventually both college football and the NFL are going to get in the way, and
at some point
they just kind of have to deal with it. And so I think that's what they're doing.
Of all media rights deals, baseball can't be mad at Fox.
No.
Because they've been there for them.
They have done a ton for baseball.
It wasn't many knocking the door down.
That's right. So, no, they can't be mad at them. It's definitely a tough spot to be in for them with how
Michigan
it's
State
kind of
at
all played out.
Oregon tomorrow night on Fox.
And then you got a late night game or a later game on FS1. I think
Sure do.
Syracuse and UNLV. So, you'd still be going up against college football, which would make it really, really tough. Let's wrap up this first hour and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking some NBA with Keith Smith.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining there or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and Parkway Center, Upper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's a couple of EMS calls out here in the last 15-20 minutes. A little bit crowded up and down certain sections of Tullahoma as traffic builds there as you go outbound on Lamar, right when you come out 240, headed down into Olive Branch. Still not bad down through North Mississippi right now, but plenty of radar down there as well, from what we understand on a 55 in certain parts of DeSoto County around Hernando as well. Give yourself extra time all the way down into Coldwater. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area for over 40 years, no matter what the occasion is. Stop by, see them first. You'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Sports Time. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Car Wash, residential and commercial pressure washing service you can trust. Here once again are Brett Morsworthy and Bryant Dacon.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. Our second hour brought to you every day by Wilson's Pro Wash. And we got to talk some NBA. It's hard to believe preseason games start tomorrow, a day game and then 2 night games. And the Grizzlies, their first preseason game, Monday night. So it's right around the corner. But let's go ahead and talk some NBA with Keith Smith.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us to talk the NBA, and I already mentioned it, preseason starts tomorrow, Keith. You going to watch every game? I mean, what does your schedule look like now that we have preseason basketball back?
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's easy because there's only 3.
That's
and
right.
Nicely
It makes it
staggered.
easy, yes.
So, yeah, it's and that first one being at noon Eastern here, that'll be I watch that while I eat a sandwich over lunch, so it'll work out perfectly. But yeah, I mean, this is as I put it to a friend of mine the other day. Time to go to work. Like it's all starting up again, and I absolutely can't wait.
I saw a big cat fight between Stephen A. and Big Perk today on who is the natural team to push Boston in the East. What's your answer, Keith?
I feel a little more confident that it'll be the Knicks, just because I feel a little more sure of the availability of their guys. But if they're healthy, it's Philadelphia. Boston does not have a great answer for Joel Embiid. Paul George is going to round them out. Their role players are nice players. Tyrese Maxey's a good player. And I'll tell you, I really like everything I'm hearing out of Joel Embiid here as things are getting started. He talked about very openly, like, hey, I don't need to play every game anymore, and I'm not going to push myself because I don't care about winning individual awards. I've done that. That's part of my career has happened. I want to win a title. That's what I'm missing. And then he talked the other day about how, like, I don't need a bunch of shots. I just need to be better defensively in the rebound. I'm going to score, but that can be more Paul George and Tyrese Maxey's thing. So, and then today he came out and talked about how, like, hey, if they tell me I need to go slow or miss a day, I'm going to listen to him. And I think he's really got the right attitude. And I think that Philly team's going to be tough as long as George and Embiid are both healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, I want to go back to last weekend when we got the big trade between the Knicks and the Timberwolves. There was a lot of players and different picks involved in this, but the biggest parts of it was the fact that the Knicks received Karl Anthony Towns from the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves received the major players, Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a 2025 first-round pick. There were other smaller things involved as well, but that was the big part of it. What did you make of this trade that went down over the weekend?
Yeah, I think it's rare that we see these kind of major trades happen this close to the season. In 2 years in a row, we've gotten them. We got the Damian Lillard trade, followed by the Drew Holiday deal right behind it, and then we got the this one here. And I think one other thing is these are two teams that pre-trade were title contenders. They're trying to get into the mix to be NBA Finals teams, and I don't know that this changes a whole lot in the short term for either one of these teams. I think Karl Anthony Towns and Julius Randle are different players, but they're both very good players. I worry a little bit. The Knicks' depth is not great, and they don't have much ability to fill out the roster. They're really dealing just beneath that second apron now, so that's a challenge for them. But I do like that Minnesota, one of the spots they needed was another wing shooter, and they get a really good one in Dante DiVincenzo. And Julius Randle, different player from Karl Anthony Towns, but he gives them another guy who can create. So I think both teams, it's a swap that makes a lot of sense for them, and I think both teams are going to come out feeling pretty good about this one in the end.
Keith, never mind right now in the immediacy of it who won the trade, but how fair will it be next May to whatever team advances the furthest? They won the trade. Could we do that?
Yeah, I think so. It's one of the things we always talk about with NBA trades is it takes a while to judge them, and there are people I know within the league who feel like, hey, we got to hold out until the whole story of the trade is written, and then that's sometimes those folks are executives who are trying to say, well, wait, I still have 2 more draft picks to make that I acquired. I know we haven't won more than 25 games in the last couple of years, but and they're just trying to hang in there. But there are people who believe we rush to judgment on these things. On this is who won this trade before we even see guys on the floor. It's the same thing with draft picks. The kind of held belief with a young player coming in the league is they give them about 3 seasons before you have a real understanding of if they're going to be really good and worth where they were selected. And I think with trades, there's some of that. But now with both these teams, if let's say one of them falls really short, they're out in like the first or second round of the playoffs, and the other one goes, to the conference finals or to the NBA finals, I think it's fair. Yeah, we could say, all right, we're going to judge this as we see it right now.
Absolutely. I saw a lot of reports saying that Dante DiVincenzo was not as in favor of the idea of the Nova Knicks as everyone else was, and that it had been kind of put out there that he was. How much faith do you have in this Knicks team now that they have had Karl Anthony Towns? Obviously, they lose 2 big pieces, but it felt like offseason, the trades we heard earlier in the offseason, Knicks, it could be their year. How much faith does this help it? Does it take away? What do you think about the Knicks now going into this season?
Yeah, I think in the immediate, they're going to take a little while to come together. I think one of the challenges for this team that I think people are just overlooking, because people they treat it like a video game, right?
Sure.
It's like we plugged all these good guys in, and they're all ready to play tomorrow, and let's go. And it's going to take a little bit of time for them to figure out chemistry, for them to figure out rotation. They're extremely thin right now. If you look at that team, they've only got a couple guys you really trust coming off their bench, and we can all make the joke, well, that's all Tom Thibodeau needs because he only plays, he plays everybody 40 minutes a night. But in reality, you got to have 8, 9, 10 guys, and even, ideally 11 or 12 to get through the regular season. So that's going to be something they're going to have to figure out. But I like their high-end talent. What I wrote when I broke the trade down at Spot Track is I think they have a higher ceiling, but I think they also have a lower floor. There is a world where this doesn't go the way they wanted it to, and it just kind of all falls apart, and that lack of depth and the defensive identity is not gone, but it's changed. And what does that look like? And they're not as good as we hoped, but there's a chance, if it all kind of slots in, and if they can get Mitchell Robinson back to fill in and help some of the depth issues and the like, then all of a sudden, we could see this team competing to go to the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm. I also saw a update, and I saw him at Media Days, but it sounds like the hope is and the goal is, at least what he said, for Lonzo Ball to be ready for the season opener for the Bulls. I know we've talked about Lonzo and kind of this recovery for him a lot this offseason. What will it look like if he can get back out there? What does that ramp up look like for him, and what kind of role now, after he's been out for so long, what type of role does he play for the Bulls?
Yeah, I like that he was very candid, and he said, hey, I'm never going to be a high minutes guy.
Yeah.
Again, I'm never going to play him back-to-back again, and he kind of owned that, but I've got basically a brand-new knee, and if I want to make this work, there's going to have to be some management. The guy I keep coming back to is Sean Livingston. He was another big primary ball handler whose career was really ruined by a major knee injury, but then he was able to come back and be a successful role player and a part of those championship Warriors teams for a number of years and really turned it into what could have been a career that could have been cut very short. He turned it into a really nice, fairly long career, and I think that's where Lonzo Ball could be. You're not going to lose the passing ability. That's always going to be there for him. He's always going to be a pretty good ball handler. The question is going to be, can he beat guys off the dribble? Can he still compete defensively the way he needed to be? But for now, just getting him on the court is enough, and I think we're going to see that pretty early on. Their early returns is he made it through the first couple days of camp with no issues, which that's already a great update. So we'll see, but the Bulls are going to be careful with him, and that team is, to say they have a lot of guards on that roster, that's an understatement. So they can certainly afford to mix them in a little slowly, but they're going to want to both as a let's see what we got, but also as a testament to this guy's worked for 2.5 years to try to get back on the court. We owe it to him to give him the chance.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that he will be ticket seller, home or road, but I think everyone across basketball very intrigued by Zach Edey. We are here. Do you think he will have that kind of buzz early with the Grizzlies?
I think he's going to get buzz from more of the basketball fans, like the people who are watching all the time and are going to be like, all right, this guy's good. The problem is he's never going to be a real highlight guy, right? He's not going to be, he doesn't play above the rim despite the fact he's enormous. Like, he's more catch and dunk or catch and finish, and there's just not a lot, there with that as far as highlight worthy. I don't know how many times we are going to be scrolling through Twitter and seeing clips of Zach Edey highlights, but I think those of us who watch the game and appreciate the game, I think you're going to get a lot of buzz. So he's going to be someone that I think the basketball community will catch on to very, very quickly, and then it'll come time. But I think he's got a great chance at winning Rookie of the Year because he's one of the few guys, I think we may have talked about this, that might start right off the gate. There's very few rookies. If you go through the list of this year's draft class, you can feel like, yeah, that guy's a day one starter because a lot of the guys in this draft class were more project-type players. But I think Zach Edey's going to be good. I think he's going to be good from day one. And I think it's big for Memphis that, their Jaren Jackson Jr. injury is thankfully not severe. That's the last thing the team needed. But I think he's going to be big in helping Edey transition and allowing Taylor Jenkins, whatever they've been cooking up all summer long, now he doesn't have to scrap all those plans because he's missing another major player. He can kind of say, all right, we can still keep moving forward. And I think that's going to help Zach Edey's transition quite a bit.
I thought it was interesting what you said, Keith, about how he could have a good chance of winning Rookie of the Year because he will be starting. And, whatever you want to say about this draft class that we'll see coming in as rookies this year, it was different. There wasn't that high-end, overwhelmingly number one pick or even top three guys. Who are some other guys in that kind of same mold that you think could be right there in Rookie of the Year talk because they'll be playing big-time roles for their team?
Yeah, it's a great question, and honestly, I don't know, because if you look at it, you start looking, go down the list of the guys that were drafted, like Zachary Sachet. It's going to take him a little while. I think Alex Sarr. I think Washington's plan is to bring him along a little slowly and kind of, really wait until he's fully ready to even put him in the starting group. Stephon Castle is somebody who I think, could see a lot of time early, especially with Devin Vassell out to open the season in San Antonio. We might see Castle, kind of slide right into a role a little earlier than we thought. I think Rob Dillingham has a chance. And the guy who I think maybe will push Edey for Rookie of the Year is Reed Shepherd in Houston, because I think he's going to drop basically right in as that team's, third guard or a heavy part of the guard rotation. And I think he's going to be really good right out of the gate. And what's going to also help with Castle and Shepard and Dillingham is they're all on teams that have some level of expectation, like Edey does. So when you see them out there, they're going to be teams that folks are watching, because either it's Wembanyama's teammate or it's two teams that are trying to be playoff teams, much like Zach Edey. And with Rookie of the Year, record doesn't always matter that much, but if it can be used as a tiebreaker, we'll use it as a tiebreaker when we vote.
Keith, we've referenced you and the good people at Spot Track a bunch this week in reference to the baseball playoffs and what the Detroit Tigers are doing. Who's the NBA team? And I've got the salaries for, I think, what would be opening night at Spot Track. Who's the NBA team down there? Well, Memphis is 21. Who's down there in the 20s that could, end of the year, be a Detroit Tigers team making their way through the playoffs?
That's a really good question. In the NBA, it's a little tough, right? Because just the way the salary structure is, we can't have a Shohei Ohtani making more money than an entire roster does. So that's that part's a little bit different. But yeah, I think those teams that are kind of coming, I think Houston's not a super high salary team off the top of my head, and I think they're going to be pretty good. You mentioned Memphis. I'm very high on them in the Eastern Conference. I think a team like Charlotte, who's not carrying a super ton of salary. Not that they're going to be like in the playoffs, but I think they're going to be better than people think. I think they have a chance to maybe even be playing a tournament team. And then Orlando here, now their salary's starting to creep up as they signed a couple guys, but they're another team I think that has a chance to be pretty good.
And that first question I asked you about Stephen A. and Big Park getting into it this morning over the East, we didn't get to it, but I know you have said it a couple of times. If you had a second or third Eastern team to make that big push, I know you feel strongly about where you live in Orlando.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really good. I mean, they took major strides forward last year, and adding Contavious Caldwell-Pope only improves this team. I think the question for them is going to be, can they get the offense to be better than bottom 10 in the league? And it's been years. I mean, literally, like over a decade. I think we're approaching a decade and a half that they haven't been anything better than a bottom 10 offense. Anytime they've had success, it's been on the defensive side. But that's going to be the key. I think Caldwell Pope will come in, help them shooting wise. But if Banchero and especially Franz Wagner, if he can rediscover his jump shot, which he's been missing now we're going on a second year in a row that we're worried about that jumper. But if that comes back, they have a chance to make a big jump. And he openly said part of what's going on with him is mental. He misses a couple, and then it gets in his head, and that's something he's going to have to work through, because for them to take the leap, they need it to be Banchero and Wagner who are really leading them there versus, hoping that other guys move forward, because those are their two young stars.
Mm-hmm. Keith, what does this season look like for the Pelicans, and more specifically, what does this year look like between Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans? It's been pretty clear that they have wanted to try to trade him in the offseason. There were even rumors last year during the season that they might deal him around the deadline. What does it look like for him, and what does this team look like, especially bringing in DeJounte Murray?
Yeah, I think for the Pelicans and Ingram, I think what we've seen here over really about the last 3 weeks or so has been a kind of, all right, we can't find a trade that we like that makes sense for us because he's a hard guy to trade. He makes a lot of money, and he wants to make a lot of money on his next contract, and teams are kind of starting to look around and say, I don't know. You're not for sure the guy who can lead us there. We may not want to lock into a max deal with you. So that's the challenge. I think both sides are now, all right, hey, the best thing for both of us is you show up, you play really, really well, because then it'll either make finding a trade easier or you'll earn that next big contract. Now, I don't know if you guys saw it because it just came down within the last little bit. Trey Murphy is now going to be out for about 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So that puts him out for probably at the start of the season with a hamstring injury. And we know, the Grizzlies, like I said, got fortunate news with Jaren Jackson Jr., but hamstring injuries are one of those ones where they say 3 weeks, and a lot of times we get there, and it's like, it's going to be a couple weeks more.
Every time.
Or the guy ramps up, and then they're back out. But there's a chance that could be, to some extent, a blessing in disguise, because the Pelicans had 6 guys after adding DeJounte Murray that are all starter level. You got Zion Williamson, you got Brandon Ingram, you got C.J. McCollum, you have DeJounte Murray, and then you have Herb Jones and Trey Murphy the third as 6 guys who can all start. Well, only 5 of them can. And also, none of those 5 are a center. And I know they're talking about playing Zion at the 5 a lot, but I don't know if that's going to be how they open games. So this might allow Willie Green and his staff kind of maybe the rotation slots a little bit more the way they want. But I think, for them to find their true who they're going to be in level of success, there's probably going to be some form of rebalancing trade that needs to be made. But it's an awful lot of talent. But if that talent doesn't fit, and that talent can't all play together, then you start to run into potentially some challenges.
Yeah, you do. And Keith, I've done it with the Pelicans. I just can't get too excited about them again because either injury or just falling short. I know how it always ends.
Yeah, it's been tough, right? And I think, one of the things that happened was they won that lottery. They got Zion. We're all fired up. And they kind of took the approach of, hey, you know what? We could kind of shortcut this a little bit. We're going to make some acquisitions to get some big-name guys in here. And really, we're going for it right away. And it just hasn't worked out. And because of that, they've kind of locked themselves into this roster. Now, they made a nice acquisition with DeJounte Murray. I think there's, for Willie Green, there's some tough conversations that need to be had. And one of those is with a guy like C.J. McCollum, who I think with C.J. McCollum, what you're kind of looking at is saying, hey, you're still a good player. We still love you. But what's best for us is if you probably come off the bench. And if I'm C.J. McCollum, I'm looking around and saying, you know what? I might be able to extend my career another 4 or 5 years as a high-level bench scorer where I don't have to have the burden of playing 30-plus minutes a night and all those things. And he may be amenable to that. You got to keep, in my opinion, you got to keep Herb Jones in the starting lineup. He's maybe the best wing defender on the planet. So I'm certainly not messing around with that one too much. Now Murphy's out. So now if you could maybe convince a guy like C.J. McCollum, hey, going to the bench, that allows us to start a center alongside Zion. You're still going to play plenty. We're going to experiment with our lineups. They can get there. But there's definitely some challenges that they got to work through there in New Orleans for sure.
I so agree with that. I think last year in the playoffs, it showed. I mean, the Pelican brass, they have the tape to show C.J. McCollum, when you're this ball dominant, we're not any good.
Yeah, and I think some of that's come because he's almost had to be at times with that team because Dad Ingram's had a host of injuries. Obviously, Zion has missed a lot of time. But when those guys are healthy, yeah, you need to take a step back. And that's something DeJounte Murray is, he's better equipped for them right now as that lead ball handler and playmaker because he's much more of a, hey, I want to get it and get it to guys and let them do their scoring. And if it comes back around to me, I'll create something. I'll get a shot. But I think he's a lot more able to defer, where C.J. McCollum, his role has been, even if you go all the way back to when he was in Portland with Damian Lillard, his role was score, right? You're here to play off Damian Lillard and to shoot when you get the ball. And I think his transition into being a primary ball handler, that's been a little more shaky. But I think, if you moved him into like Eric Gordon style, what he does now, or what Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams did for years, I think C.J. McCollum could be really, really good in that role, and that could add, a number of productive years onto the end of his career that might not be there if he insists upon, I still got to start. I still got to be a major minutes, major role guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to see these teams out there for preseason action. Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
I appreciate you. By then, we'll have some stuff we've actually seen to break down.
Right.
So I can't wait. I'm really excited. We're almost there. It's like Christmas Eve tonight.
Yeah,
we'll be digging through box scores, Keith.
That's right.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, box scores and film and all that good stuff. I can't wait.
That's right.
Thanks,
Keith.
Thank you.
Keith Smith joining us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. We talk to Keith every single week about what's going on in the NBA. But do me a favor real quick. If you're driving around or at home, at work, picture this for me. Your home, beautifully clean and pristine. Is that impossible to even think about? Well, not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Their Gentle Touch Pro Wash will restore your house, fence, driveway, commercial building, and more to their very best. Wilson specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, from concrete to stone, brick to mortar, even wood to vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal your surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Wilson's Pro Wash, clean is their mission. They'll wash away everything but your sins. So give them a call at 901-524-6799. That's 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com. Let's get to another break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some wagering. Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com out in Las Vegas. He joins us next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsofMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah?
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia, to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's got a little bit heavier in the last 15, 20 minutes through the Midtown area on 240 southbound at Union all the way down to Norris. It's been a little bit busy in the last 20, 30 minutes also, trying to get across the Hernando de Soto Bridge and just that normal traffic volume for this time of the afternoon, headed over towards West Memphis on I-40 across the bridge. And trying to get south of Memphis, not bad at the moment. There's been radar further south of Memphis on down in parts of DeSoto County on 55. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area now for what? Over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is, go by and see them. Save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Pro Wash, residential and commercial pressure washing service and control. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com in Las Vegas. He joins us now to talk some wagering, talk some picks. Doug, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with this Thursday night football game tonight. I'm really intrigued by this matchup between the Buccaneers, only one loss on the season for them, against Denver. And then on the other side, an Atlanta team that looks better, to me at least, than what they did last year. What do you like in this matchup tonight, Doug?
So I'm on the Falcons. Okay. Now, I'm a little uneasy with 3 straight weeks of emotionally draining games, right? Like they've had the game last week that came down to the wire. Before that, they had the game with the Chiefs on Sunday night. Before that, they had the epic ending against Philly on Monday Night Football. So I'm a little uneasy there just because no one can play their best every week and no one can play their worst every week. It's an ebb and flow of energy and gas tank. But I think Bucs coming off a hard game where they won. It was like very hot and humid in Florida, draining game. I think it's a short week. There was professional money on Atlanta this morning that moved the line from 1.5 to 2.5. And late money is usually the right money because early in the week it came on Tampa that dropped the number down. But you know when money comes in late, that's what you really have to put your you have to pay attention to.
Doug, why? Why is late money smart money?
So it's a good question. So let's take a step away. betting limits, right? So you can max bet any day of the week, but max bet, not all max bets are created equal. So a max bet on like Tuesday, if you're a flagged account, it can move the market. But a max bet on Tuesday is very different than the max bet allowed on game day, which is Thursday, which is like six figures. So you can do like a $5,000 bet on Tuesday and manipulate the market and get them to move, and then you come over the top on game day Thursday. Now, it's better to do that on game day because you don't have to wait till Sunday, and so you don't have to jam up all your money, and then other groups can come in and manipulate the market as well. So if you know you love the Atlanta side, you can basically pay, quote-unquote, $5,000 on Tuesday and then do a $100,000 bet on Thursday to get the better number. It's much better than, like, buying 2 half points. Mm-hmm. So there's ways to play a little, a little 3-card monte with the sports book and odds makers. Now, if you do it all the time, they'll be annoyed and kick you out. But there's ways to, like, navigate it and do it. And it could also be different groups as well. But I think Atlanta at home, they're a little healthier. I think Mike Evans is going to play for the Bucs, though. But I think that's the right way to go about this.
No, just fascinating. You taking us kind of behind into the cage, behind the desk at the sports book. Tell me how you become a flagged account.
It's very simple. So there's different levels of flag. Flag could be like cheating and doing stuff. That's like a negative connotation. But basically, with technology, you can't make a bet. I mean, obviously at the online books like DraftKings and FanDuel's, but at all these books, even in Vegas, you can't make a $1,000 bet or $500 bet without swiping your player's card. And they have everything profiled because there's a big edict in Nevada gaming to know your customer, KYC. Mm-hmm. And so you cannot just like take a bet from anyone. You have to do background checks and all that if they're big money and they wire it in. Because there was a book like a couple years ago, like 10 years ago, that fined $1 million because some drug lord in Mexico wired in a bunch of money, played baccarat and basically washed it all and then took it out, right? So they got penalized, that casino. So if you win a lot or you win over a sustained period of time, they'll notice that on your account, right? If you swipe your player's card or you do it on your online account and you win a bunch, they're going to flag it. And they're going to say, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. And so over time, they can profile the accounts. And when those profiled accounts make certain plays, they respect those wagers. And they'll move the market accordingly. So it's obviously multivariable, but that's one like basic reason to do it. It's when they have accounts that do really well or beat the closing line. If they bet -1 and the game closes 2.5, they really respect those types of people.
Doug, for the flagged accounts, particularly the whales, do they share the information? Does Casino A share with Casino D? Does everybody know what the big boys are doing?
So, yes and no. So think of like a Bloomberg odds screen, and every book, like in Wall Street, there's only one place you can buy, Google stock. But think of like the betting market as having like 10 different Wall Streets. Now, all the Google stocks are pretty much the same, but they might be like an eighth of a off or a half price off. So if one book moves from 1.5 to 2.5 in a big NFL game, the other books will follow. Now, I will check with an odds maker like, hey, did you take a bet or did you just move with the market? And they'll say, oh, no, we just moved with the market. So then you got to call the next book, i.e. the next Wall Street, right? You got to go down the line and figure out who was the originator of the move and figure out if they took a play. Now, they won't tell you who, right? That's against gaming, that violates laws or whatever. But they'll share, even if it's on a radio hit or I'm writing an article, they'll be like, yeah, we took a very sharp play from this, on this game, so we moved it. So there is some sort of news element that they're allowed to discuss, but they're very, protective of their clients, as they should be, and they won't say who did what or whatever. So when it's like a Mattress Mac piece that surfaces, that's all Mattress Mac's people putting that out.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. So that's him wanting
wheelbarrowing cash.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he likes to get noticed. I loved a few years ago at the Kentucky Derby. He conveniently put himself at the betting window right behind the NBC talent doing the kind of the pre-race show.
That's right.
Right.
Well, Doug, let's get to another game, and since we just talked about the Thursday night football game, I've got to ask you about Sunday night football. I'm a massive Dallas Cowboys fan, so I'm hoping you can give me some good news here. Cowboys on the road. Pittsburgh is a 2.5-point favorite. That total sitting at 44.5. Do you like anything in this Sunday night football matchup?
I do, yeah. It's a battle of two huge fan bases, right? Where's the public money going to line up on Sunday night? I like the Steelers here. I think Dallas has some issues. Obviously, we know about the injuries to Parsons and Lawrence, and they can't run the ball at all. And this is a team that has just looked disjointed, and that's what Pittsburgh does. It really throws you. He's like Dak's going to be in a lot of 3rd and 7s and longs, and not that Pittsburgh has this like offense that's a juggernaut, but they're doing enough, especially against a weak Dallas defense. And when you have a mobile quarterback, even Daniel Jones was somewhat productive. He's just so bad throwing the ball, but Jones was productive against the Cowboys. I think the Steelers are the right side. I think the only way Dallas doesn't lose is if they just have a lot of big plays, right? Like 30-yard, 50-yard gains, because Pittsburgh's going to make them go up and down the field, and they're going to Dak's going to get hit a lot. And I just think over time Pittsburgh's going to grind this to a win.
So you like the Falcons tonight laying the 2.5 in Dallas on Sunday Night Football laying the 2.5. Doug couldn't be with us last week.
Pittsburgh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh minus 2.5. I'm sorry. Pittsburgh tonight, or Falcons tonight, Pittsburgh Sunday night. Doug couldn't be with us last week. He had a family obligation back in Los Angeles, but we did toot your horn last week. You're 8-3 joining us on Thursday this year in college football, and 6-2 in the NFL. Anybody out there take 14 up, 5 down. Doug Kazarian, for years you saw him at ESPN. Now he's with his own thing in Vegas at onlyplayers.com. Needless to say, in our area, a big college football game this weekend is Tennessee going to Fayetteville. Second straight road trip over with open date in between for Tennessee, but they got to head west again, playing at Fayetteville, laying the 13.5, 14. Anything in that you like?
Yeah, I like the Vols. You guys might remember I was on them against Oklahoma and Norman. I have no problem laying points with this Tennessee team. They're a high-powered offense, man. They will take care of business. Arkansas has its moments, undoubtedly, but ultimately they I should be scared because they tend to win the games they shouldn't and lose the games they should win. But I will say I just don't think they're disciplined enough and polished enough to match Tennessee's firepower. And over 4 quarters, I don't think Arky can hang with UT here.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Another college football game I'm interested about, I bet against Washington last week when they played Rutgers on the road against Rutgers. That was a fun game. But now they're at home against Michigan. They are slight favorites at home against this Michigan team. It's going to be an NBC game Saturday night. Do you like anything in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I bet this at minus 2.5, so that tells you how sharp I am.
Wow.
It's now 1 at one of the sharpest books, but mostly 1.5, 2s. I don't get it. I think Michigan's a fraud. I think, you have a quarterback who can't even throw for 100 yards. This Huskies team obviously outgained Rutgers. I was on Rutgers last week, so I was very appreciative, but Washington won the box score. This is a little bit tougher trip. I know Michigan's physicality will be there, but I think the Huskies with Jet Fit, I just like everything about this spot, and I think it's a good spot for Washington. And I'll say this, when they played the week after they lost to Wazoo in the Apple Cup, Washington State played San Jose State on a Friday night, and the line was 14, got steamed down to 11, and then there was buyback up to 13, and San Jose State was the right side all the way. So occasionally the sharp money will be wrong. You just got to, stick with your guns, and I'm gonna stick with my guns at the Huskies being the right side here.
Those are some really good picks. Doug Kazarian, last week and this week we've called the Alabama-Georgia game the Super Bowl of college football. We've said that a lot. It's been said a lot around the country. How did it do at the window? What kind of handle in Vegas was Georgia, Bama, or was that just a big deal here?
Well, we thought the short spread or short outcome or margin of victory would be because the line moved around 1 and 2 and stuff, but the books had two-way action, mostly under money, if anything, but with the public being so invested in that game, whoever won on that game was going to blow it the next day on NFL. So the high volume, high handle is always a really good thing for the house. And I don't say that in terms of being disparaging against the public. It's just the roulette. Think of the roulette wheel, right? If the recreational bettors are betting red, the house gets the black and the green. So the red bettors are getting 50-50, and the house is getting all the black and then the 2 extra greens. Mm-hmm. So let's just call it, to make it equivalent to sports betting, plus 110. That's all it is. The house wants everybody playing roulette for 24 straight hours. What they don't want is someone coming in, betting 50,000 one spin and leaving. And that's what the sharp guys do. Now, the sharp guys have an edge where, the roulette wheel's in their favor, in theory, in the math of the sports betting. But they want volume. So knowing the public's just going to put the money back into the ecosystem and the house is going to get plus 110, frankly, they want the house, the recreational players to win a little bit here and there. I remember talking to a bookie like 15, 20 years ago. He goes, I don't want your rent money. I want your going out money. And so you don't want to make these guys broke. You want them coming back. So once every 4 or 5 NFL Sundays, the house likes it when the public wins.
Yeah, Doug, it was very poor grammar and a little bit unartful, but I had an old buddy of mine that said one time, kind of along those lines, win on Saturday, give it back on Sunday. He said, money ain't got no home.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
That's great. Well, Doug, as always, so much fun having you on. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me, and good luck to everyone this weekend.
Thank you, Doug.
Right back at you.
Best of luck to you, Doug Kazarian. How great is that? That is inside, isn't it?
It sure is. He's great and gave us some great plays for the weekend. While I don't love the fact that he picked against the Cowboys, great picks.
We're going to start flagging your account.
I think you should. But I don't bet for the Cowboys, so I can't do that to my team. But no, I'm definitely excited to play these, especially that Washington game's interesting against Michigan. Michigan on the road, having to travel up there to Seattle. That one is really, really fascinating. So we'll see if they can come through.
Oh, we love having Doug Kazarian. All our guests appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. That's also the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. Hit us up and tell us if you like Doug Kazarian. You ought to like 14-5, and we love having him. Big supporter at Sissy's of the hometown teams, the official jeweler for the Grizzlies, supporter of Tiger Athletics. On Monday afternoon, we will look back at the weekend in the SEC. It's brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin. We do that every Monday at 4:30. They are the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, wedding rings, necklaces, earrings. That special time, a lot of special times coming up this fall. I won't say it's engagement time, but it's getting close to it, and it's certainly going to be the holiday season for everyone. 9,000 square feet in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Since 1970, with all the great locations across the Mid-South. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. Life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouses, bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
We don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And Start learning Spanish fast. With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Now, back to Sportstime on Sports 96.7.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Brett, I mentioned Jackson Churio earlier, the rookie for the Brewers, a guy that I picked as my rookie of the year in the NL before the season started. Now, he's not going to win that, but he's coming up in big-time ways for the Brewers this postseason. So my big number today is the number 2. Jackson Churio is the second player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 game-tying homers in a postseason game. The only other person to do it in Major League Baseball history was Babe Ruth in Game 4 of the 1928 World Series.
In there with Babe Ruth.
How about that? I mean, as a rookie, to be in there with Babe Ruth, that's pretty good.
What do you got left after that?
Well, yeah, that's hard to top.
Doug Kazarian loves Tennessee laying the 13.5 or so at Fayetteville on Saturday, and it ties into my big number. My big number is 53. Tennessee leads 13-6 all time in the series against Arkansas. They first played in Memphis in 1907, but it wasn't the 1907 game that put that rivalry and the Liberty Bowl on the map. It was 53 years ago in the Liberty Bowl, Tennessee winning 14-13, and the Liberty Bowl was doing good after it moved south. Bud Dudley brought it south, but that game, they had moved into the Monday Night Football slot after the Monday Night Football package season ran out, fell right into that for most of the 70s in that spot, and the first year had Tennessee and Arkansas, and it was an impossible ticket. Tennessee winning 14-13. They met again after the 89 season in the Cotton Bowl. Arkansas leads 4-2 in Fayetteville and won the last time they played in Fayetteville in 2020.
That's right, yeah. And so you mentioned it. Doug likes Tennessee this weekend, and how could you not? I mean, honestly, I think common sense, and usually common sense is not great when it comes to gambling, but common sense would almost tell you take the over in this game. I mean, with what these offenses have shown. But on that flip side, Tennessee's defense might be the story of the season so far for them with how they've played for a large portion of this season. I'm excited, to see if Arkansas can kind of hang around for a little bit against this Tennessee team.
And just keeping it comfortable for Nico, they've done that. I want to see Nico stressed.
Yeah.
And Arkansas wants to Saturday.
Absolutely, and that's
and he might perform great.
Sure, but that's been the issue with Tennessee is that they haven't had to have a spot where Nico needs to struggle or has to struggle because they have so many weapons. They can run the ball if they need to run the ball. They have a defense that is going to limit opponents. They've made it very easy for Nico, and I think on one side you like that. You want your young quarterback to feel comfortable out there and not have to be put in situations like that. But on the other side, you want him to have that adversity and have some growing pains, and we just haven't seen that yet with Nico.
How comfortable has it been for Nico? Well, I can answer. Tennessee, one of 4 teams to never trail so far this year.
Wow.
Texas, Indiana, and Army, the other 3.
That's That's crazy. That's insane. And that's how good they've been this year.
It is.
Wow. But I think they get another win this weekend, and we'll see if Arkansas can keep it close. But this one feels
like... Who made Kurt Cignetti at Indiana mad?
Man,
oh, wow.
Man.
What a start. He's 63.
Yeah.
And there's already, will his name pop up in carousel? Are they viewing him as, we want to go to a younger route?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and you're right. A guy that is a little older and certainly, did great things at James Madison. And,
sure did.
That
took a lot of that team with him.
Sure did, and that was the big question of, he did it at James Madison. Will he be able to do it at that next level, taking such a big jump to the Big Ten and taking over at Indiana? But so far, so good. Has Indiana sitting right now at 5-0. Well, it's getting closer to dinner time. I know I'm getting hungry. And when you think about food in Memphis, you think of barbecue. And you can get the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue any night at the Commissary. With locations in Germantown and Collierville, stop in for lunch or dinner or get it to go. Start your meal with an appetizer like the cheese plate, chicken wings, or my favorite, the barbecue nachos. For more than 40 years, the Commissary has been a staple in this area, and a big part of it is because of the quality of the food they serve. My go-to are the ribs, but it's hard to resist the barbecue shoulder, chopped or pulled, get it by the plate or by the pound. And it comes in handy with the sandwich packs. Feed the whole group with a 6-pack, 8-pack, even a 12-pack. Don't forget about dessert like the delicious banana pudding, brownie, or lemon icebox pie. Check out the entire menu and catering options at commissarybbq.com. Whether it's a watch party for your favorite team or a tailgate, let the Commissary cater your next event. Give them a call at 901-754-5540. That's 901-754-5540 and make any event perfect. Stop in today at either location. In Germantown, open daily until 8 p.m. and in Collierville, open till 9 p.m. for the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue at the Commissary. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up our second hour and get to another break. And when we come back, we're talking a whole lot of Tigers with Greg Gaston.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting days with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BinswangerGlass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Lots of our fans have gone to see Genesis Diamonds, and they are amazed. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis is fast becoming the go-to place for people here when it comes to engagement rings and fine designer jewelry. They also have a ton of luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Genesis guarantees the best diamond prices, period. They are a direct diamond importer with no middleman, which means incredible value for you. Genesis turned the old-school jewelry business model upside down with slimmer margins, more selection, no commission salespeople, and stronger warranties. They have every diamond you can imagine, natural and lab-grown diamonds in every shape and every size. Genesis has thousands of designer engagement rings from top designers that you won't find at other stores. And keep this in mind with the holidays around the corner. Genesis has case after case of incredible diamond fashion rings, diamond eternity bands, diamond earrings, diamond necklaces, colored gemstones at every possible price point. All of this in a beautiful new showroom with great local experts who will teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. Genesis Diamonds, you'll love it at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We've been in pretty decent shape so far this afternoon as far as really bad accidents. Now, it is starting a little bit busier on 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway going outbound Sam Cooper. That's really starting to build here in the last few minutes as you work your way past Perkins. Traffic's on the increase also in the Midtown area. I-40 over here up by Chelsea. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is that's coming up, you can save a lot of money by shopping there first. Shop local and save money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour. And we got to talk some Tigers. A lot going on in the Tigers world when it comes to football, obviously an off week this weekend, but also basketball. Pro day earlier this morning, so a lot to get into. Let's go ahead and get to Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers
Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us to talk Tigers. There's a lot to get to, Greg, but I want to start with Pro Day for the basketball team. You were there earlier this morning with a lot of other media members. What did you see during Pro Day today for this upcoming basketball season for the Tigers?
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen. Great to be back with you. You know, it's interesting. Pro Day for basketball is a lot different than Pro Day for football.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a practice, really, is what it is. And I got a chance to see this team for the very first time. So a lot of players I was watching for the very first time, and seeing a new coaching staff as well under Penny Hardaway for the very first time. So it was interesting to be in there and see kind of the dynamics of what was going on. I came away not overly impressed, but certainly not underwhelming. I saw some things that I liked, especially the tenacity on the defensive side, which is Penny's trademark, and something that he certainly wants to emphasize again after last year's disappointment. I saw a team that was really, really fast, really quick. I saw a team that was smaller. Now, while they have a couple of big guys, Musa Cisse being the biggest, not a real big team. A lot of guys that are in that 6'3" to 6'4" to 6'5" range, but they have three guys on the perimeter that all can handle the basketball, and particularly Hunter and Haggerty the most, but even Colby Rogers is a pretty good dead-eye shooter. I think they will be a pretty good shooting team. But again, it's hard to really gauge what this team will do. Last year, the first time I saw last year's team, I thought they had a chance to be really, really good and make a run, and they got off to the great start, and then as everybody knows, they folded like a cheap suit and never made the tournament. This is one of those teams where, again, I'm not overly impressed. I'm not underwhelmed, but who knows? Maybe they can make that kind of run, because it seems like there is real good kinship and continuity and chemistry among these guys, where I don't think there's going to be any ego issues, hopefully no NIL issues, and we'll see where the chips fall, because this is, again, a defensive-oriented team back to what Penny has hung his hat on.
Greg, I like that assessment, and I can assure people out there that Greg is a veteran, just like our introduction for him, it says. But this is not some jaded, cynical sports guy going to his first practice of the year and being nonplussed. If anything, Greg, and I mean this complimentary, you are a happy Warrior. I guarantee you were glad to be there today.
I was just really anxious to see this team, Brett, to not have a chance to see anything up until this point. Now, granted, they haven't been practicing that long, but even something in the summer when they just had the pickup games, I've always been able to see them a little bit, and this is the first peek at them. So, yeah, I was anxious to see them. Again, there were scouts there. There wasn't a ton of scouts. I've been there for pro days where there's been every team represented. That was not the case. So, again, it was fairly unusual, and what wasn't unusual is that pro days take place before the season starts. That's just the way it is with basketball as opposed to football. But again, I saw good things. We had a chance to talk with Penny and a couple of the players afterwards, and he's happy with the way they're developing. He kept emphasizing the fact that they have been together for a long time. This wasn't slapped together in the last month. There hasn't been any additions, although he did say that there could be a chance that they add another. I don't know how that's even possible, unless he was talking about maybe a staff member. But it seemed like I thought he was talking about adding a player, but I don't think
that's how it read.
Yeah, did you read that? Yes, I don't know how they would be able to qualify, maybe for the second semester from a grade standpoint.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Who knows that? Right. I thought he said that. I thought I wasn't going crazy.
Yeah.
But the point was that he said he wanted that team in there by June 1st, and they were in there pretty much by June 1st. So it's a little bit different in the sense that the team has more continuity, togetherness. They like hanging out with each other, and that's at least a positive going into the season.
Greg Gaston, our guest from the Tiger sideline and sometimes the baseline. It's brought to you every week by Dyer's Hamburgers, Crab Kings and the Crazy Coop. And, Greg, nobody says Nuggies better than you do.
all stemming from, you know what, that Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid commercial. I just love that commercial.
Good stuff.
Yep, had to go with Nuggies.
All right, Greg, earlier, I hope your ears weren't burning, and we've already gotten some pushback from John Varlas. He's going to address it with you tomorrow morning. Since today was kind of weigh-in measuring day, I was wondering if they measured and weighed you. I said 5'9", 190. How close am I?
You're very nice. 5'7.5" is my height. Yeah.
You're taller than me. That's not right. I'm 5'8". That's not right. You're taller than that.
5'7.5" is my height. I'm probably right now at about a deuce. I need to lose about 20 pounds.
Don't we all?
Now, look, I got, there's positives. I certainly hit the weights and go to the gym all the time. So I got a little bit of muscle.
Guns gassed.
Around, but the spare tire is back. So certainly I'm on a mission to lose that.
Hey, you never know when you're going to need the spare tire.
That's right.
You know how to change your flat, Greg? When was the last time you changed your flat?
No, I'll be calling AAA when that happens.
Exactly. That's why I have it. No, I'm not changing a flat.
Not at all. Well, Greg, one of the interesting things with this roster for the basketball team is Jared Harris, the lone freshman on this roster. And I think, two sides of it, he's probably going to be in the same role that we saw the freshmen last year, where they don't get a ton of playing time. Maybe if things happen, Penny Hardaway looks down and tries to get a spark from one of these guys. But on the flip side, this is, going to be Jared Harris surrounded by a bunch of older guys that can, teach him, can tell him things they've picked up throughout their collegiate career. What did he look like kind of the first time we've gotten to see the freshman since he's arrived? How did Jared Harris look surrounded by all these older guys?
Yeah, and that's exactly what he talked about. He was one of the guys that was available for us to interview after the pro day. Jared Harris seemed to be nicely in the mix as a rotation player.
Wow.
I don't think he looked overwhelmed whatsoever. I saw a lot of flashes from Harris. I was quite impressed. I thought he would be a little bit quiet there in the corner, do his thing, but he was aggressive. They had this scrimmage between the starters or expected starters, and Penny did talk about that. These are the guys right now that he would pencil in as the starters, and then the other guys, the backups, and the backups had the lead for the most part and took them down to the wire. It ended up going to overtime. So I thought Harris looked really good. And remember, this is not a real deep team.
That's
and
right.
Penny likes to use a deep rotation. So I expect Harris, unlike the last few years when the freshmen just didn't get off the bench, except for maybe his son got a little bit more playing time, Ashton, I believe that Jared Harris could very well be in that rotation.
That's great. I'm curious because I missed the expected starters. Who were the expected starters?
So the starting five in this particular game, now there's one change, and I'll get to that in a second, but the Dane Danger at center.
Okay.
You had Tyrese Hunter as the point guard. You had P.J. Haggerty as the 2. You had Colby Rogers as the 3. Now, in this particular game, Jourdain played the 4. Tyreek Smith, who's got a little bit of a hand, it's bandaged, was playing on the other side. I think they split them up on purpose. The thought is, and some of my contemporaries over there think that Tyreek Smith will be the starting 4. I'm telling you, Nick Jourdain still does a lot of things to help this team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jourdain started. I wouldn't be surprised if Smith started. Jourdain's that first big, along with Cisse, to come off the bench to replace the 4 and the 5. But that's the lineup he used today. And somebody had asked about Haggerty and Hunter and why weren't they going against each other. And he said, "Oh, that's what they've done all summer long into the fall." He said, "I just split them up 4 days ago." So now they're on the same team because they are going to be a big component of this team. So you got to get used to playing together, not just against each other in practice.
Greg, I think I like that 5 to 6 to 7, 8 rotation. I want to.
Look, it looks good. I mean, they fill all the voids. They certainly fill the shooting void with Rogers. He's a dead-eye three-point shooter. I think certainly Haggerty can put it up. What's really interesting, Dane Danger has a lot of good moves. When I walked in that gym and I saw Danger and I saw Tyreek Smith, I expected 2 guys that were going to have like poundage on them, like we're really big, maybe even a tad overweight. Not the case. Danger is thinner than what you think, and Tyreek Smith is really thinner than what you think. He's not thin, but he's not this hulking guy that I thought maybe he would be. So they have agility and mobility, and Danger around the rim has some great post moves. Now, the one thing that probably will shock you when I say this, and it shocked me, was, and I don't, look, you can't depend on it, and I hope they don't, but Musa Cisse has a mid-range game where he's hitting fall-away jumpers. He didn't hit them all, but he hit some. I'm not saying he's going behind the line and shooting threes, but we know Musa Cisse as you throw it up and dunk
Stay
it,
backs.
or maybe take it off the rim and dunk it. But he actually had a little bit of a mid-range jumper going. As I told the other guys, I hope they don't depend on this too much, but he had to make his game much more broad to have any chance at getting a shot in the NBA or playing in a good professional league around the world to make a lot of money. Remember, this is the guy who came out of Lausanne, his first go-around with Memphis. The thought was, oh, I'm going to be a one and done. Well, here he is, year 5 or 4 or 5, whatever it is. Oklahoma State,
everywhere.
Ole Miss, now back to Memphis. So he's trying to broaden his game, and he is a little bit more well-rounded. Again, don't think this guy's going to be out there shooting threes, but he is a little bit more than just the rim runner and dunker.
And you certainly prefaced and scotched it, but I don't want to be drawing up the make with 10 seconds left
right.
with him shooting a 15-foot
right.
jumper. It was
right.
and I love the interaction y'all had with DeMichael Cole at camp the other morning, and he was talking about the on Twitter, the video going around of Zach Edey making those corner threes. It's real easy with nobody on you.
Exactly, and if you're depending on Zach Edey to hit threes to win games, you're in trouble. If you're depending on Musa Cisse to score 20 and hit down.
And you said it to DeMichael. I can remember when Haddadi could. We would go pregame, Greg, and sit there and watch you and go, would you ever draw up a play with Haddadi shooting a top of the key three? Never.
Right. I mean, these guys are incredible athletes.
Right.
They've shot the ball at practice and on their own 1 billion times a day. So, yes, they have the ability, flat-footed, to shoot a three and make a three with nobody defending them. But let's be real here. You got to be real with what guys are able to do. And again, if you're depending on Cisse for mid-range jumpers or you're depending on Zach Edey for three-pointers, well, maybe occasionally they make one, you're in trouble if you're depending too much on that.
I thought it about Marc Gasol, and he ended up being pretty reliable.
Well, there are
it.
exceptions. There are exceptions to the rules. Look at Jokic. Jokic doesn't even shoot that many, but he can knock them down because he does so many other things. And Gasol was well-rounded as well. He became a better all-around player when he added that to his arsenal. Yeah, there's certainly exceptions to the rule. I would be shocked if, Edey over his career became this dependable three-point shooter. Maybe I'm wrong. He hit some long shots for Purdue, no question about it. A little bit different in the NBA.
If he does, man, you're going to need the Brinks truck to carry all the cash out in.
That's true.
That's right. Greg, I saw some reports earlier from Pro Day that said Brock Okogie was participating in a lot of the drills on air. He did not participate in the scrimmage, a guy coming off an off-season surgery. What did he look like, and did Penny Hardaway have anything to say about how he's coming along in his recovery?
Yeah, he was asked the question. It was a short answer because somebody had asked if he'll be ready real soon, and I don't think he answered that. But the thought is that maybe he'll be ready to go by the North Carolina exhibition game. Then again, they may want to be very careful with those two exhibition games against North Carolina and Alabama. I can tell you this: I was really impressed. Remember last year we were sold kind of a bill of goods on Jalen Young, that he was going to be this dynamite backup, and he was going to be almost as good as Quinterly. It wasn't even close. But I'm told again, this Okogie is good enough to be a solid rotation player where if something happened to one of those guards, Hunter or Haggerty, he could step right in. He's fast as heck, and he has a three-point shot, a real nice shot. One drill where he had to dribble around a defender, drop off a pass to a big for a dunk. It may have been almost like an alley-oop pass. Then hustle to the corner, receive the pass back, and shoot a three. And it was absolutely perfect. He was wearing the yellow jersey like in football when you see don't touch the quarterback,
right.
Don't touch a Koji. But again, I think this guy might be a little bit better than what I thought he would be when they first signed him.
Greg, you have an open date this weekend. Bryant and I did our flat letter grades, no pluses, no minuses, for the Tigers and for the SEC. What would be your flat letter grade for the Tigers? I think we were both B's, Bryant. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying this because you just said what your grades were. I was going to go B when you started to ask that question.
Yeah. That's
I
very
was going to
fair.
go B. Obviously, you can't go A. I mean, they were beaten up pretty badly on the defensive side against Navy. Now, offensively, they certainly had enough offense to win that game. So it wasn't like it was a big zero of a game. It was a tough loss, and it puts them in a hole. But the performance wasn't a dud by any stretch of the imagination. The other performance is really, really strong. I know Florida State's down this year, but still to put that defensive effort up against them in Tallahassee on the road, that was strong. I think a lot of the story will be written a week from Friday, a week from tomorrow when they go to South Florida. Now, South Florida has been a little underwhelming. They played a tough schedule. I'm really surprised that Tulane manhandled them like that. Not surprised that Tulane won, but manhandled them. I still think South Florida is a good team with a very versatile two-way dual-threat quarterback, and I think this one is extremely important. Obviously, Memphis has to win them all to get where they want to go and still get some help, still need some help. But this one, I think, is important. They go down there. They're coming off the bye because they've played teams who are coming off the bye seemingly every week so far this season. They'll be the team coming off the bye. They're going to be pretty darn healthy, with the exception of Duossier, who won't be ready to go. I don't believe he will. And then, again, South Florida, a team that's certainly capable. If the defense can rise to the occasion and keep him in check, Memphis should be able to win the game. That was one of the games I picked for them to lose this year, so I'm going to have to think about it next week as we get closer to making picks. But that is an extremely important game. First of all, you're trying to get your first conference win in your second conference game, get back on the winning side of the track, and then you feel pretty good because you have a home game after that in North Texas, certainly a team that's able to score a bunch of points. But you go down to South Florida and they whip up on you or you lose that game, there's going to be a lot of issues coming back to Memphis to figure out where this team is. So very, very important to get the rest, which they have done, get back to practice, have a full practice next week. Again, shortened week, but a full practice nonetheless before they jump on the Big Bird on Thursday and head down to Tampa.
Greg, I'm with you. I like to stay with my preseason picks, but we're getting to the point of we're seeing big sample size that it's time to maybe start moving away from those. And I did it last week. Preseason, I had Georgia 12-0. Last week, game week, I went with Bama. We're getting close to that time of year that the picks in August don't matter as much, do they?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like to change mine, but sometimes you're forced to. You have to. It doesn't make sense not to change. What happens if there's a devastating injury to a key player? Right. And nobody's forcing us to have to make that pick when we do it on a weekly basis. Before the season, we're having fun with basically speculation, looking at what we think will happen without having any games under their belt to know whether or not we're on target, on track, or not with our assessment. So certainly have the right to make that change. Like I said, I'm not sure if I will make that change, but I may very well do so. Again, this is a pivotal game just like it's a pivotal game, as you know, for Ole Miss and South Carolina to go to Columbia and win that game. It's going to be extremely important for Memphis to go to Tampa next week and win that game.
Yeah. Greg, I'm curious, if you were Ryan Silverfield this week with an off week and you said, I want to work on one thing this week that we have to get better at, what would that one thing be?
Let me think. I might have two things. Defensively, I want to see them back to being the aggressive team we saw early. Now, they weren't getting to the quarterback a lot early in the season. Then they started getting some TFLs and things of that nature. Getting a little bit more in the sack category. I want to see them continue to get more aggressive in being able to attack the quarterback because they're not going to face another quarterback like Horvath at Navy. They're going to face dual threat quarterbacks, but that kid And that speed in that system was unstoppable. They couldn't get to him. These other guys, very talented, when they face this quarterback from South Florida, they're going to have to contain him. He can't get to the edge because he can beat you with his legs. So I want to see a more aggressive front, especially the front, the 3-4 that he sets up at the 3 on the defensive line, and then with those linebackers and timely blitzes. They had the big blitz in the Middle Tennessee State game from the corner blitz. I believe it was from Rubin, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was from Minor that forced the fumble, and they got the short field. I want to see that. Offensively, I want to see Hennigan and his main targets get more on the same page. Not that there's dysfunction or any kind of communication issues, but quite frankly, you look at the stats and there's not. I don't know if Rock Taylor has a touchdown yet. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it's mainly been going to the tight ends and the running backs. They have to get Taylor. They have to get Blankenship. They have to get Drake more involved. They got these young receivers as well, Shorter, who's come in and done a good job, and some others. They have to get the veteran guys more involved. I know it's frustrating for Rock Taylor, who decided to come back, and he in cahoots with Hennigan. They both decided pretty much together they were coming back. Well, I want to see him get more targets, more chances to catch balls and score touchdowns. We know what he can do once he catches the ball. Now, the first game of the year, they basically, or was it Troy? I'm trying to think which game it was. It was probably Troy, where they double-teamed him and just basically took him out of the game. Teams will do that. But if that's the case, get the ball to Blankenship in the open field as fast as he is. They have to take advantage of their athleticism.
Greg, open date for you. So Saturday and Sunday, will it be a mix of football and golf, or just all football or all golf? Because I got a report that you're hitting your new irons great.
I'm playing well. For finally in my life, I'm still not consistent, but I'm getting a lot better. I try not to play in the fall. It's football. I don't play on the weekends. I will play during the week. I played 3 times this week. And
dang, you're joining the tour.
Well, I had an opportunity to do so because the Tigers having the bye week, right? So I didn't have the coaches meetings and all those types of things. Now, it's still a little warm out there. I think it got up there like 84 today. I want it to be 65 to 70. I love that golf. The only golf weather. The only problem is the leaves, right, on the golf course, trying to find a ball and things like that. But, yeah, I'm dialed in for football. And even if the Tigers aren't playing, I'll be watching TV. I was hoping Ole Miss had a home game, and, of course, they're in South Carolina, or I would have went to Oxford. To Oxford. So definitely we'll be dialed in on football.
Head to Fayetteville for UT in Arkansas.
Yeah,
it's too far.
Yeah,
I hate
and coming back
driving
that late. Yeah,
I hate driving to Nashville, and that's only 3 hours. I remember when I used to like driving. I just don't like it. Now, if somebody was driving me, that's a different story.
Bama Vandy in Nashville Saturday night. Would love to go to that. Y'all load up, road trip.
You know, when Harold Grader, who was on today, said that he's going to that game, I was thinking to myself, that's not a bad idea. But again, like I said, I don't even like driving 3 hours to Nashville.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a lot for sure. But Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds great, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Greg Gaston joining us, and man, I mean, could have gone and anchored down this weekend.
Sure could.
I mean, nobody anchors down like me, but we'll see.
That game's early, isn't it?
I think so. I don't know off the top of my head when it goes off. 3:15, so afternoon game.
Up and back same day. That's doable.
It's doable. It might not be ideal.
Back a little later.
Yeah, it's certainly doable though. You could get it done.
I've done it a lot crazier.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But no, should be fun for him this weekend.
I left Auburn one night. Now, wasn't up and back the same day.
Sure.
Had driven down on Friday, but we played at 5. Post game wrapped up. Back to Montgomery. I left there at 11:30, pushing it all the way in.
Whew.
Really dumb.
Oh wow, yeah, that does not sound fun. But hey. No. Sure, it made for a good story.
I stopped at one rest area and slept for about 30 minutes. and then drove for about 30 minutes and had to stop at another one and sleep a little more.
Wow. Well, at least you stopped and slept and made sure you're
never doing
you're
it
good
again.
to go. Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, maybe you're going on a road trip soon, go out to Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. There are 5 o'clock sponsors, and Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the 2025 Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635 horsepower. And it's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Also, take a look at the 2025 Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The 2025 Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Also, don't forget about the 2025 Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call with any questions at 877-259-6169. That's 877-259-6169, or go online to view their entire collection at jaguarbluffcity.com. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies, all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Contractors, are you in town for a job or getting ready to do a job for a customer during their holiday shutdown? Then you should visit TSS Supply for your concrete coatings and supplies. Why wait for materials when TSS Supply has everything you need in stock, and they can get it to you today or within 24 hours? TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Great things come in sporty packages with its plunging roofline and aggressive contours. The first ever Genesis GV80 Coupe will move you in more ways than one. Discover Genesis athletic elegance with coupe-like styling and a sporty silhouette that looks fast even when sitting still. Turn any road into a runway with available 3.5 TE supercharger V6 with 409 horsepower. Hear every beat, note, and breath with crystal clear Bang and Olufsen premium audio system. Visit Genesis.com.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
TD, Tutty, taking it to the house, in for 6. Whatever you call a touchdown, one thing's for sure. Touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. On the ground, in the air, from the special teams or defense. We don't care how they score them. We want to bet on touchdowns. And DraftKings Sportsbook's delivering. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like picking a player to score a touchdown or how many touchdowns will be in a game. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook's app. Make your pick. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? New DraftKings customers bet $5. That's it. And get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the Sportsbook app at DraftKings. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D. H-E-R-D. Put that in. New customers get $200 in bonus bets. Betting just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports. Former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again, are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand. You said you loved me, and that's a fact. And then you left me.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, and a lot trending, Brett. I think a really busy night in the sports world, a little bit of something for everybody. You got Major League Baseball, a deciding game tonight in the wild card. You got Thursday Night Football. You got 2 college football games. It feels like the night before Christmas for NBA with preseason starting tomorrow. It just feels like a lot of excitement around the sports world. So I want to start with this game. We talked about
That's why we love October.
Exactly. It's why it's such a great month. But I want to start with the baseball game tonight, because we talked earlier kind of
top of this hour.
We sure did.
Top of the next hour.
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be here in less than 30 minutes. Who do you think ultimately wins tonight?
I like Milwaukee, not just because I took them with the picks, but they're at home. And a closeout game. Batting in the bottom of the ninth is going to have to matter at some point in October.
That's right. It has to.
I thought it was yesterday on sweep day for the Mets to do it, and they didn't. And I think Milwaukee win, but I don't think Milwaukee scares anybody going forward.
No, I don't.
The Mets could.
So. Sure, I think they could with how explosive they have been offensively lately. But no, I think Milwaukee wins tonight. I'm certainly rooting for them, but I think you're right. I mean, it feels like the bats have to wake up at some point for Milwaukee, and maybe last night that 8th inning is the spark that they needed to give them some juice going into tonight. Maybe we see a more complete roster at the plate.
Keith Smith, we were talking with him about the Karl Anthony Towns trade.
Yeah.
And it's not always, but when there's a trade like that on season's eve, it's always blockbuster.
It certainly is, and that one was definitely blockbuster. I mean, I don't think anybody had any idea that Karl Anthony Towns would be traded from Minnesota.
That trade this time of year, that's an April-May trade.
Definitely. And so, with that magnitude, I think, both those big guys, Julius Randle and Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think anybody thought they were maybe down the road, maybe. I know Julius Randle has kind of come up in conversations, but I don't think anybody thought it was going to happen right before the season started.
And for the Knicks, guess what side Stephen A. took in the Stephen A. versus Big Perk? Who's pushing the Celtic? The
Knicks, for sure, absolutely. But I mean, we'll see. I get a little worried thinking about Karl Anthony Towns in with Thibs. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work as well as people
Keith
think.
Made the point. He wears them out.
He certainly
and then
does.
Wears thin.
Yeah, he does, and I don't know if. I'll be honest. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns can take that, and I guess time will tell, and we'll see if he can fit in that system.
Boy, around college basketball, staying with basketball, everybody now getting going with practices and scrimmages. It's getting close, and this is the time of year where there are 40 teams that think they can make noise.
That's right.
I asked, we were talking about it yesterday. Who was I talking? How can you have a preseason college basketball ranking right this year and not have UConn one? What have they not? Were we having that conversation?
We were having that conversation off air yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean,
if they haven't earned it, who has?
That's right. I mean, I think it has to start with them, and then everybody else file in. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, people will argue, well, they lost some pieces, and it's not the exact same team as last year. But that's okay. It's a preseason poll, and that's what the great thing about preseason polls is it's going to change. And so if UConn comes out and they don't look like the UConn we've seen the last couple of years, then absolutely they're going to drop in the polls, and it will be a lot different. But for preseason, as long as, and I told you this as my response, as long as Dan Hurley is the head coach there, they're the preseason number one for me.
He's attained that status for sure.
He absolutely has. I mean, just what he has done, and it was the same conversation last year of this isn't the same team. They lost a couple of big time pieces. Can they be able to do it?
I said from the beginning it's UConn.
Exactly, and so
tournament.
Yeah, and so for them to be able to do that with new pieces, different pieces, and still have the same result. Yeah, I mean you gotta lock them in. Now, am I gonna pick them to win the national championship this year? Absolutely not.
No,
but
I'm not.
I think for preseason poll, that's completely different. I think they've got to be number one, or at least very close to number one in the preseason polls.
You got your Final Four in lightly shaded pencil?
I do not. I do not have anything yet in lightly shaded pencil. No. I'm trying to stay away as much as I can.
You got any notes on your notes app?
Of course I do, Brett. But that's beside the point.
That's it.
I mean, you know how I am with college basketball, but I can't look ahead too terribly early. So, what will your viewing look like tonight among everything going on?
It's going to be a lot of baseball, but I want to go back and forth to the college football, and I want to go back to that Texas State game for this. I don't know if the next move is into the SEC, but there's a next big move for G.J. Kinney, the head coach at Texas State.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it will be a prominent next move for him.
It for sure will. I mean, he has done such a good job in getting that program where it's at. I mean, even the conversations of Texas State maybe moving to the Mountain West, or being an idea in some of these talks of conference realignment, he has been a big reason for that, of what he has done as a coach to put that program where it's at with the success on the field. He's played a huge role in that, and I think you're right. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets that next step up.
What if on Carousel Weekend, usually around Thanksgiving, championship weekend for all the conferences, SEC, Big Ten, and others, what if Eli Drinkwitz made that move from Mizzou to Florida? And today on the Paul Feinbaum show, Mike Griffin referenced that. He said the main part out loud. There'd been a lot of conversation, kind of back channel, but he said it today, and there's a lot of people thinking that he's going for it. Whether he is written, a lot of people think that, and it's starting to be reported. Mike Griffin, he said that today with Paul Feinbaum. You let that happen, G.J. Kinney into Mizzou, that would be a good spot.
I think that'd be a really good spot for him, and kind of, I don't know how to necessarily explain it, but I feel like his personality and the way he is kind of fits what Missouri is in the SEC.
Now, Drinkwitz came from App State, I think only 1 year there. That's more prominent football than Texas State, but close enough.
Sure. No, absolutely. And
offensive oriented.
That's right. And it certainly worked out with him. And so, it at times did not seem like it might work out, but ultimately it has worked out with him, and he has gotten things really rolling at Mizzou. So, yeah, I would not hate that move at all.
Yeah, watch that. And also we'll watch Troy tonight. The Tigers played Troy, and I think it's showing that they really miss John Summerall.
No, they absolutely do. And just how many guys left whether it was to follow Summerall to Tulane or just other opportunities out there, they lost a ton, and it's hard to replace that and kind of get those guys in there and turn them around and say, all right, here we go, start of the new season. And so, yeah, they're definitely hurting in a lot of ways. And now this is a Texas State team that is coming out hungry. They've lost back-to-back games and looking for a win. Both college games tonight, favorites are double-digit favorites. So I think Texas State could be easy tonight, even though it's on the road.
Everybody trying to get the perfect plan for that Thursday night viewing, and I know where we should start it with getting the great food. That's at Jason's Deli. I was there yesterday at lunch. No surprise. I'm accused of living there. I live there because I love it. I love the great people there. I was over by MUS over in Park Place on Ridgeway. If you want to have something to go tonight, you can, whether you're dining in, getting it to go, or having it delivered. Jason's Deli will come through for you for every single meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. For tonight, for game watching, for the weekend for game watching, for the weekend for tailgating, college or pro. Not a lot of college in the area this week, college or high school, or pro, if you want to tailgate from Jason's Deli. Healthy, first franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. It's all about choice at all the Jason's Deli, with over 200 Memphis area associates to make your dining experience so very good. Whether you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, you will be delighted at Jason's Deli. All the organic food to choose from, and that great salad bar with over 30 items for you to prepare it however you would like. Catering anytime, anywhere, for all the fun we're going to have really from now on. There's a lot of big office and fun events from now through the Christmas holiday season, whether it's fall festivals, fall church events, team events, whatever it is. Let Jason's Deli take care of you with the catering. And in all the locations, like at Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova, the complimentary free ice cream, the salads off the salad bar. I talked about that great salad bar that you can prepare it, but if you want them to do it for you, the Mesa chicken salad, the chicken club salad, the nutty mixed up salad, my favorite, the taco salad, and getting close for me to chili season, all the soups, all the breads, all the spreads, also good and good for you at Jason's Deli. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today at 01-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. Life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Scott Graham here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 5 of the NFL season gets started in Atlanta with an NFC South battle between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. The Baker Mayfield-led Bucs moved to 3-1 with last Sunday's win and hold an early division lead. But the 2-2 Falcons are also coming off a W. Ian Eagle and Derek Rackley will have the call on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
O'Reilly.
Extend the life of your engine with a full synthetic oil change and save at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, pick up 5 quarts of O'Reilly full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard oil filter for $29.99. Or upgrade to a MicroGuard Select filter for just $2 more. Limits apply. Offer in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing gift, because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 30 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield guards via food products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $400,000 awarded in Mississippi.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today. Shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
We're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that we only had one Game 3 in Major League Baseball wild card. Hard to believe, especially after Game 1, Day 1, 3 underdogs won. I thought that we would at least get a couple of those favorites come out and win. We got one favorite getting the win in Game 2 that lost Game 1. That was the Milwaukee Brewers. We had one favorite sweep in the San Diego Padres, but the other two, it was the underdogs that swept the home favorites, which sets up for some really interesting, I guess, the rest of the playoffs of what can those teams do. Can one of those teams play upset and kind of go on a little run? But I do think tonight's game is going to be a really good one. I think both of these teams are good teams, and I think either can be very competitive throughout the playoffs. And obviously one team has home field advantage. being Milwaukee. We'll see if they can go out there and get it done. But we have seen this Mets team, they have some juice to them, a team that has had to play a lot of games in very few days. We talked about that series last week against Milwaukee, but then have to turn around the very next day and play a doubleheader against Atlanta and get back on a jet to fly right back up to Milwaukee to start the playoffs the very next day. They've been able to handle that, and we'll see if maybe that juice can continue tonight and they pick up a massive road victory.
Earlier, and I don't think it's major, but I think baseball's missing an opportunity for tomorrow to not have one or two of these games going. You got to be a little more flexible. They're going to be at the end of the LCSs. If they end earlier than expected, both sweeps or even in 5, they're going to start the World Series earlier than a lot of published dates you see out there. They got to get away from these hard and fixed dates in baseball. We used to could do this. They've got a great TV partner, but on Saturday, college football will dominate this. Here's what you're going against Saturday. Detroit and Cleveland's going to be up against UCLA and Penn State. Milwaukee or the Mets are going to be up against the Phillies. Will be up against Iowa and Ohio State and Auburn and Georgia. Kansas City and the Yankees will be up against Saturday in the SEC. Arkansas and Tennessee, and the Padres and Dodgers late's going to be up against Miami and Cal. College football beats every one of them in ratings head-to-head.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's just the spot Major League Baseball is in.
Dateline Fayetteville beats the Yankees and the Bronx.
100%. It's crazy, but that's the monster that football is in the United States. But it is wild. What I could have done without today, the news that came out earlier this afternoon that the Chiefs have placed wide receiver Rashee Rice on injured reserve. He underwent MRI. They were waiting to see, second look, more information on it, but now it looks like he will be out for a while, placed on injury reserve. So that's at least 4 weeks that he will miss, and that is a huge blow to this Chiefs team. Rashee Rice had turned into wide receiver number 1 in Patrick Mahomes' favorite target. A lot of people have been talking about Travis Kelce and some of the issues he has had to start the season. Rashee Rice has kind of turned into that safety net for Patrick Mahomes, and now they will not have him. I still have a ton of faith in what Travis Kelce can do on a football field, but when you start looking at some of those other receivers, you have questions. Xavier Worthy, I think, could have a big opportunity now to kind of fill in and get more targets with Rashee Rice out, but it's going to be really fascinating to see what the Chiefs do with their offense with one of their best receivers on the IR.
Could have done without. I knew it ended horribly for the Herm Edwards staff at Arizona State. But Antonio Pierce, he better make sure it works with the Raiders in the NFL because he's never coaching in college again. They were just letting it rip at Arizona State, weren't they?
They sure were. Anything went.
They weren't shy about it either.
No, not at all. And we saw that today. And I mean, man, it's been weird for for Las Vegas. A lot of things going on right now with the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's a lot of negative stuff right now. And we'll see what they can do in this game this weekend. Where are you beaming tonight, Brett?
Milwaukee for that elimination game. 10 times all-time in playoffs for Milwaukee. 22-31 all-time their record in playoffs. First time they faced the Mets. And tonight will be the last time for this postseason, win or lose. Right. Mets 53-41 all-time in the playoffs in their 63 years of existence. They've been in the postseason 11 times.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun one tonight in Milwaukee. Beam me to Thursday night football tonight in Atlanta between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. I'm interested to see how this game goes. I think both sides have fun teams. I think the Falcons are playing better than they were last year when there were a lot of questions about how some of these guys were used. Buccaneers, a really, really good start to the season. They'd be perfect if they had beaten a very beatable Denver team. We'll see what happens tonight on Thursday Night Football.
Atlanta 3-0 in primetime games against Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, 3-1's the record. That's the most important thing. Yep. 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, almost 1,000 yards passing.
Yeah, that should be a fun one tonight, but a little bit of everything tonight. We've got the baseball, we've got the NFL, we've got college football, and just a quick reminder, if you can't watch the game tonight, if you're out and about, we will have coverage of Thursday Night Football tonight starting at 7 o'clock, Buccaneers at Falcons. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined